Morning, folks. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. We will convene the Fayette County Commissioners meeting Tuesday, April 15th at 10 a.m. Please stand for a moment of prayer.
Shall we pray? Father, we come before you in Jesus' name. We thank you, Father, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for the rain outside. We thank you, Lord, for most of all, though, for Jesus Christ. They came upon this earth, and this time of year we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We thank you, Lord, for salvation through him. And Lord, we ask now that your will would be done in this county. Lord, that you would rain down upon this county, Lord, and this would become, Lord, as I'm praying, that this would become a drug-free county, a zone, Lord, that would not be known for drugs, would not be known for alcohol, but be known for godly men and women living here. We thank you, Lord, for blessing our county, and we ask you, Father, to put your blessings upon this meeting, that your peace would rain down upon it, and that your will would be done. Father, bless this meeting, bless the commissioners, use them in a mighty way, Lord. And we ask you, Father, most of all, just take control of every situation here in this county, in Jesus' name. And all God's people said, Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to announce May 1st is the National Day of Prayer, and we would like to invite all of you to the Marshall Plaza, as we will have a prayer time from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. There will be music and food, and we'd like to invite the commissioners to come and say a few words. And obviously your pastors are more than welcome to come too, or if you'd like to come and pray, we'd enjoy having you there. That's May 1st from 3 to 7. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have an amendment to the agenda from adult probation. Consider amending the agenda to approve an extension of a contract with Ford Business for copy machines for 60 months under the current terms of the CoStar's contract.
Yes, we spoke briefly before the meeting. You currently have a contract with Ford?
Correct.
And the terms of this contract, are they similar, identical, or this is a continuation of that contract?
It's a continuation as far as monthly pricing goes. However, we're picking up an additional copy machine for the same price, an additional 10,000 copies per month.
Okay, so there's a savings in this contract.
Yes, and it is on CoStars, and we just asked that it be put on the agenda and approved.
Did you check with other vendors under the CoStar's agreement or any similar pricings and terms?
No, we did not, because we're happy with Ford. They have other county contracts, and we're currently with them, and we'd like to stay with them.
And when is the current when is the term of the current contract up for expiration?
July 2014.
July 2014. Okay, thank you.
Motion to amend the agenda to add, consider amending the agenda to approve an extension of contract with Ford Business for copy machines for 60 months under the current terms of the CoStar's contract. Is that correct?
Second add to the agenda.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next item is proclamations. We have 2 proclamations and one employee award to give out. The first proclamation will be for the Foster Parent Appreciation Month. Is there anybody here from the foster parents? Please come up. Commissioner, would you like to read this?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Thank you.
So what am I supposed to do? This one here? 1 second, gentlemen, just figure it out again. And ladies.
How are you? Good. How are you?
Come on over so you can get off camera. We don't need to be on camera. You guys do.
Yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to read this. I hope more folks get involved in the foster program. It's my pleasure to read this. Whereas the family serving as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support is the very foundation of our communities and in our county. There are 159 children and youth in foster care being provided with a safe, secure, stable home, along with a compassion and nurture of a foster family. All young people in foster care need a meaningful connection to a caring adult who becomes a supportive and lasting presence in their lives. And foster kinship and adoptive families who open their homes and hearts and support children whose families are in crisis play a vital role in helping children and families heal and reconnect, thereby launching young people into a successful adulthood. And dedicated foster families frequently adopt foster children, resulting in a greater need for more foster families. And there are numerous individuals, public and private organizations, who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children in and leaving foster care, as well as the enduring and valuable contribution of foster parents. The foster care system is only as good as those who choose to be a part of it. We do by here proclaim May as National Foster Parent Appreciation Month, and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support foster families, thereby preventing child abuse, neglect, and strengthening the communities in which we live in. Thank you very much as an adoptive parent. Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
My name is Debbie Hager-Kyle. I'm the foster parent recruiter. We are always in need of foster parents within our county, Fayette County. They provide a tremendous service to the children that we serve in Fayette County. April Sino is a foster and adoptive parent with our agency. She's been with us several years, and we're grateful for families like hers. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, geez. Boys, combination?
3 boys are adopted, 2 girls are adopted, and I could be adopted.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next proclamation is for the Mental Health Awareness Month. Are there somebody here from mental health? Please come up.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Sure.
Shirley, pleased to meet you.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
What's your name?
Mark.
Hey, Mark, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Mark, please.
Hi, Mark.
Good. Oh, good, thanks. What's your name?
Lace.
Hey.
Okay, whereas the mental health of our citizens is essential to be continued well-being and vitality of our families, businesses, and communities. And whereas while we may not be able to stop mental illness from coming into our lives, we can change how it affects us by getting connected. And whereas social connections play an important role in maintaining and protecting mental health and wellness, therefore we are asking everyone to get connected. And whereas friends and families can be an important source of support and encouragement, we are saying get connected and turn them during difficult times and allow yourself to accept their guidance and help. And whereas we spend a significant amount of time at work, we say get connected to healthy relationships and coworkers and encourage each other to maintain good mental health. And whereas connecting with your community can help you feel a sense of belonging and purpose, we say get connected and see what you can do to help others. And whereas connecting with yourself can help you decrease stress and improve health and relationships, we say get connected and take time to know yourself. Whereas if you are having a hard time coping, get connected by contacting a mental health professional and make the connection to recover. Whereas greater public awareness about mental illness can help change negative attitudes and behaviors toward people with mental illness. We say get connected to your friends, families, co-workers, and community to decrease the stigma of mental illness. Whereas 2014 observance of Mental Health Awareness Month will help raise awareness of mental health and the stigma people with mental illness face. We say get connected to that message that with proper treatment, recovery is possible. Therefore, the Fayette County Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2014 as Mental Health Awareness Month. Would you guys like to say a few words?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for
All right,
coming.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's not here yet. We'll do the other thing.
Any other, what's the, can I make an announcement? Any other public announcements?
Not till the end of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we do have a, an award to give out, but the employee is not here yet, so we'll do that when he arrives. Are there any public comments on any of the agenda items?
I want to address the resolution that you're going to talk about today. 70-some years ago, 16 million Americans, now I was one of them, got rid of two governments, one in the South Pacific and one in Europe, of tyrants that threatened our way of life and our freedoms. And 400,000 of us died. And I don't know how many were wounded and mentally wounded. And I'll be darned if I'm going to allow a petty tyrant in a fourth-class county tell me that I can't.
Mr.
I don't want to talk to you.
Mr. Mazza,
I'm talking
going
to
to
you.
ask you to be civil and
I'm being
and not-
civil. You are a petty
and
tyrant.
not make personal attacks.
And I will not have a petty tyrant tell me that I can't speak my mind whenever I want to, for how long I want to. You're infringing on my freedom to speak. And that's guaranteed me by the Bill of Rights. And you or nobody else is going to tell me different. You use the Sunshine Act as a crutch to justify what you're trying to do. And if anybody has violated the Sunshine Act more than you two guys have, I don't know who they are. You violated them at the 8:30 meeting.
It's clearly out of order,
You
making
violated-
allegations that we breached law.
I don't care if
I'm
I'm
not
out
gonna engage in
of
that,
order.
Mr. Mazza.
Ben Franklin said, "He who would sacrifice freedom for security deserves neither." And that's the way I feel. You're not going to infringe on my right to speak. I don't know about the rest of the people in here, but I know that my right to speak is going to be not infringed upon. I didn't spend time in Europe to please you, and I'm sure neither one of you know what a battle is. But I do. Not only my generation, but all war veterans have secured the freedoms that we enjoy in this country. And if you infringe upon anybody's right to speak, you're wrong. this is not a monarchy, and you're not king out. In fact, the divine right of kings was destroyed 800 years ago when the Magna Carta was signed by King John. There is no divine right of kings, although I don't think you're aware of that. You can't spend a few hours, one day a month, listening to the people of this county express their opinions, wants, and needs, then you're not much of a commissioner. You're not much of a public servant. I don't think you realize that you are a public servant.
This has nothing to do with rights. It has everything to do with
Oh,
personal
bull.
attacks.
It has to do with my right to free speech. And the Sunshine Law says that you have to give people the right to express their opinion. You can't say 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes. You can say you've got to give them the right to express their opinions, or express their needs or their questions or whatnot. The only reason these meetings last as long as they do is because you don't answer questions. And when you do say something, it's a fabrication of some sort or another nobody understands, that has nothing to do with the questions or opinions that the people are trying to find out. That's why these meetings take so long. And you say keeping it in order. The only time that anybody was out of order here was your fellow commissioner. I was talking apples and he was talking oranges. I was talking about the Sunshine Law and asking a question about it, and he was talking about a suit.
No, Mr. Mayor, if I may go back, I apologize but you said, and I don't want somebody to play it back, but
I wanted to
you
know.
made reference to the fact that the Sunshine Law and that the two commissioners, Commissioner Ambrosini and myself, violated that law.
I wanted to know if there was two
That's not
commissioners
true.
there. That was my question.
You weren't citing a specific.
And you told me I was full of beans.
Oh, you're going back a few months ago. I apologize for that. I told you
I
that.
said,
Another one.
you said I was full of beans, and I told you I was not full of beans.
I did not
And
violate.
you start talking about a suit.
Sir, I did not violate the Sunshine Act then, and I have not violated the act now.
Well, you sure did it at the 8:30 meeting, and you would have from the very beginning. Al would have anyhow. From the very beginning, if Mrs. Zimmerlin hadn't pointed out to him that it was a public meeting and there had to be public comment, he was ready to vote on that thing. He thought it hold him to 8:30 in the morning, there'd be nobody there. And then you violated it because the room didn't hold enough people, and you asked to move it, and you didn't move it, and the people that were in the hallway, in the back hallway and in the reception area couldn't even hear or be heard. That's a violation of the Sunshine Act. So don't tell me there's not, that you haven't violated the Sunshine Act. And she saved your butt here half a dozen times telling you that you were in violation.
Then I suggest you file the complaint with the state in Harrisburg.
Oh, the state's worthless too.
Well, I mean, not everybody can be worse, sir. Not everybody.
And I want to know something else in your resolution. Did you inform your bodyguard back there that if anyone is removed, bodily removed, that he is liable, not you?
Sir, in all due respect, in light of the fact that we had a bomb threat a week ago in our, you make light of it. Well, let me tell you, excuse me, Ms. Understack.
What does that have to do with my
You
freedom
gonna
of
tell
speech?
me now?
I would prefer that you didn't mock security.
I'm not mocking
Security
all the
time.
officers are there to protect the welfare and
Right.
safety of the individuals in this room. And I can tell you, I've seen it firsthand.
What does that have to do with liability?
Well, you made sure, you made my security officer, our security officer, no, he's here to protect not just
No, I have
us.
no quarrel
but
with
he-
him.
no,
I have no quarrel with him.
He's
My
here to
quarrel with
protect
you.
everyone in this room too, sir. And I just think in light of the fact that we've had, we're not celebrating, we're
You're doing
acknowledging.
Vince,
Mr.
you're
Massey,
doing
please.
exactly what I said you did before.
No, I'm just.
You're not answering my question.
what is their answer? He's
I
security
asked
for the
you,
courthouse.
I asked you to, if you have told the security guard that if you ask anybody to be removed here, that he is liable for any damages or injuries to that person.
I didn't talk to you. Did you hear that? Because I didn't. Did I speak with you to inform you of that? I didn't speak with you at all. So no, I did not. But I'm glad you did. Thank you.
But he's liable.
I don't know.
Well,
That would be a
well,
legal question.
Well,
and
I
insurance
recall,
carrier.
before you ever was in county government or knew anything about county government, there was a person that was told to be removed from a county meeting, meeting just like this. And the security guards were told to remove the person, and they wouldn't remove the person because they knew, they were smart enough to know that they were the ones that were liable, and that the commissioner that ordered it was not liable.
I don't know, sir.
Well, I know. I've been attending these meetings for a long time. So, a lot longer than you've been here. And you've been here. And I have to say, this is probably the worst county government we've ever had in all my years coming to these governments. And we've got 3,700 other people that agree with that. And we collected those 3,700 signatures in the worst weather of this winter, and we'd have doubled the number of signatures we had. And there were signatures that weren't counted because the people weren't voters. They were taxpayers, but they weren't voters. But we had a lot of people say they were going to go get vote, going to get registered. But that's about all I have to say. But I just want you to know that you're not going to stop me from saying what I want to say, when I want to say it, and how long I want to say it.
Are there any other public comments on agenda items?
Yes. Okay, my two comments. One is on
Please
the
state your name, please.
Mary Beth Homestead from Fairchance. It's regarding, first I'll just pick up on resolution 14, where on the resolution page, it references sunshine law that the commissioners will fully comply to provide a reasonable opportunity at each public meeting for residents to comment, which I understand, a reasonable amount of time. I don't think one should go on 15, 20 minutes about the same thing. So reasonable amount of time is fine, but sometimes 2 minutes may not be enough to get the question out. So I understand limiting the comments part, the reasonable opportunity to speak. But then you drop down to C, where you're changing it a bit, where speakers must register at least 4 business days in advance to the chief clerk. How is that possible when it doesn't hit the paper till Wednesday about Tuesday's meeting? That means you have to register Wednesday to get 4 business days in before today, which seems a bit unreasonable. Why do we even have to register to speak? I mean, 4 days in advance. Can you just explain why 4 days? That just seems like a rush. You don't read it until Wednesday's paper about what's going to be on the agenda. That means you have to call right then to get on the agenda to speak Tuesday. Can that be, is that necessary? A 4-day window there?
It's necessary to give the chief clerk time to put you on the agenda.
Well, how hard is it? You could write it on
I mean, you
so to
can
speak.
certainly,
I mean,
most of you do come to the agenda
Correct.
meetings anyway.
But
so.
that just seems sort of a little restrictive. And then, it's 4 business days.
Just, let me interrupt one thing. Commissioner Anderson, you just said most of you come to the agenda meetings anyway.
Oh,
How many members of the public come to the agenda meetings?
Well, that's actually the place you should come, because that's what we talk about.
You can come to any meeting that you would like. They're all public meetings. If you want to come to the agenda meeting, come. If you want to come to this meeting, come.
Okay, and then the second part of that, your H on the second page of your new amendment, The chairman may request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. And then above that, you have, you may rule out of order scandalous, impertinent, irrelevant comments. Now, you want to stop our impertinent comments and have us, and then there it's law enforcement will remove us, which is what I was referring to. I mean, you have the guard to, I believe, I understand the stabbings, the bomb threats, whatever, but that has never happened in the history of Fayette County, I don't think, in any meeting.
No, that's
That's
not correct.
inaccurate. We were just, I believe a few months ago, we were unable to
The
adjourn the
fire.
meeting.
The fire, well, that wasn't a threat, I mean, that,
And, I could tell you,
Fire.
there's been a number of incidents that.
over the years, somebody in here acted out.
So,
But in here it just states that law enforcement.
Actually, there was a incident, this long before I was a commissioner, where somebody made a, kind of a terroristic threat, in this room, an individual, about, I think it had reference to, you know, cutting off people's heads. And that person, I believe, was removed.
Okay, well, I understand things like that, but to remove someone for an impertinent comment, I mean, and then the flip of that is, does it work both ways? Because say a commissioner throws out a really rude, impertinent comment to a citizen, who's going to, shouldn't they be removed also?
well, the meetings are always headed by the chair, and the chair
Right.
in any Robert's Rules meeting always has the discretion, to direct, if
Right.
something is out of order or not. I mean, that's at his discretion, or whomever is chairman's discretion. As far as the other, items in that paragraph, I would think, and I would like to think, that we've given a pretty, I mean, I've just been told I violated the law and, he's been called a, what was it? Tyrant.
But,
I mean, those are things that in most meetings, no one, and I did this when I was chair, when there were approaches on either this, Commissioner Vacides or Commissioner Zimmerling. I don't think anybody would allow a meeting to allow personal attacks to be made. I just think that's
but should they
important.
be, shouldn't they just be warned? Well, I guess you.
Well, how do
could
you warn somebody? You warn
before
somebody
take them out.
once, and then, excuse me, Commissioner, please. Again, I had the floor, and I would like
Restrict me,
to.
I didn't even say anything,
No,
but
I said-
I leaned back.
Well, I thought you were going, I was trying to finish my
Oh,
sentence.
now it's even before you even get a chance to speak.
Ah, this is ridiculous.
All I did was
Please,
lean
Commissioner,
back.
I thought you
My
were gonna
goodness.
comment, I was trying to, so we both weren't speaking at the same time.
No, lean
Go ahead,
back.
Miss Olmsted, continue, I apologize.
Goodness.
Please continue, Miss Olmsted. I'm sure you all,
But what my other part of that was, though, for instance, like, if a commissioner yells out at someone in the audience, and Mr. Ambrosini doesn't shut that person down, that is wrong.
Thank you.
We have to abide by the rules. Why do we have to watch people yell at us and Mr. Ambrosini just laughs? And in the main
I'm
example.
not sure that,
What I'm
you've
referring to?
witnessed much,
Oh,
in
I've
the way
witnessed it
of,
on video,
of us.
October's meeting.
yeah,
October's
and
meeting.
that was, Commissioner, when Mr. Mazza was addressing me,
Correct.
and I got a little
Right.
frustrated with the comments,
Well-
and I got a little vocal, and I
Right.
did apologize.
No,
We're gonna
you
cite
didn't.
one, we're gonna cite one
You did not
incident.
apologize.
The
Please.
second incident that I'll
One speaker
reference
at a
is
time.
that 8:30 meeting that was held at crack of dawn, 8:30, when, the DA was very upset and was sort of uttering crude utterances, but I believe that was the when Mr. Killinger jumped up and pointed his finger at Mr. Chris and began yelling, "I'm gonna put this in your face, you talk fast." Now, why didn't he get removed? Seriously, you're gonna do this to us, we can be removed if we scandalous impertinent, but people at your end, nothing happens.
Mary Beth,
Yes,
if what happened just this morning if that would have been attempted at the state level, state
this isn't
government
the
level.
state level.
Well, it's
But-
government
but-
business. It's
But the people of
public
this
business.
county have the same right as any level of government. County, state, or federal should all be conducted with the same decorum, the same
Correct.
professionalism, and the same respect for the citizens
Well, then
of
we
this
don't
county.
do it at this table, and neither did Mr. Killinger at that Wednesday meeting, and it's on video several places,
Ms.
and,
Homestead, you've been speaking for over 7 minutes right now.
okay.
And believe it or not, we're gonna continue speaking, that's fine with me. But the fact remains is, these are business meetings. This
This
still,
is agenda
if I may,
item.
again, I'm just trying to say a sentence, please.
Okay.
It's gonna be rough enough down the road here. These are business meetings, and they should be conducted as that. I'm not supporting, and I do believe and worry about security as an issue, because I mean, I can't speak publicly about it, but there's been a number of incidents that would warrant some concern about welfare and safety. I can just say that because I know it, and these two know that I reported it. There's been a number of those. I don't begrudge anybody a right to speak and say what they have on their mind, but when it makes allegations of violating law, when there is a venue that you can pursue to determine whether or not there was, in fact, a breach of violating the law, i.e. the Sunshine Act in the reporting office in Harrisburg. You know, we all are humans, and we all are subject to something touching the wrong nerve, so to speak, and that happened to me once. I've sat in that chair for 4 years and heard the same thing. This is the worst board of commissioners now, and it was the worst board then. The board of commissioners then violated the Sunshine Act, the board of commissioners now do. And none of it has been determined of having any credibility whatsoever. In a court of law, it did not. And until the state of, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania tells us that we've done something wrong,
I'm not saying you've done something wrong, I'm just expressing an opinion that what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
well, the gander gets it more times than the goose, as I assure you, if the gander is us.
Well, no, we'd be the gander then.
I'm not gonna comment on who the
Well,
goose is.
I mean, it was, because we seem to get
I'm being
gaveled down
facetious,
much
ma'am.
more than anybody
I'm just
there
being
gets
facetious.
restricted. So, but okay, Commissioner
Some
Zilling,
levity.
Let me ask a question, Ms. Homestead. Is there any reason to believe, that you believe, or should believe, that we should conduct county government business any less professionally than the state or federal government?
that is not the point. My concern
That-
is you're
that-
not,
that actually
sometimes
is
you
the
don't
point.
act professionally
That is-
on a state, if you did what,
Ms.
if what happened
Homestead,
at
that
a
is
state level.
exactly
What,
the
does that
point.
happen at the state level?
I can guarantee you, at the state level, this would never be tolerated. An individual that called anybody on the floor of the
I'm
house.
speaking of the group, the representatives yelling at people. Would that be tolerated at the state level?
Oh, there's a level of decorum and professionalism at the state level that is.
Then you
is
don't have it
managed.
here. You don't use that here, obviously.
We should have it here. Don't
But
you
it-
agree?
We should, but we
Okay,
don't.
that's all I'm asking.
It's not at this, it's not at your end a lot of times. So you're referring to the state level behavior for us. Therefore, I think all outbursts from your end
Well, then now's the time to start.
should not happen.
Yeah, I agree.
You should respect, we should respect you, and you should respect us equally.
That's all we
concur.
ask.
You know, no outbursts, if we yell, scream, bound, but if you do the same, someone should stop that.
Couldn't agree with you more, man.
That's it's equal, we're equal, we're all created equal here,
I
and,
agree.
okay, now my other agenda item comment is regarding agenda item 15, to consider increasing the monthly contract reimbursement to Reverend Terry Sanders to make it commensurate with the level of professional chaplain services he provides. And to raise it from $4,500 a year to $12,000. Now, my question is, how many hours a week does the chaplain work at the prison?
Well, when we get to item 15, we'll ask him to come up.
Well, do you
and
know, since,
go over those items.
I mean, roughly, is it like a 40-hour week, 20-hour, 10-hour?
The chaplain provides.
Answer the question.
I don't see his time sheet. He receives
Mr.
a
Wally,
month.
you're the controller, I mean, you pay him
Actually, he's paid out of inmate
I
welfare.
understand that night, the title of something or other, I looked that up last night. It's not a contract, he had a contract, and, but he is paid, I
He
mean.
is a 1099 employee. He is not subject to submitting timesheets to me.
So no one, it could be just a few hours a week.
He is a 1099 employee that has the opportunity to work 140 hours in a week or to work 2. I can't answer
Okay.
that question.
Then my question is, since you're going to now pay him $12,000 a month, couldn't that be advertised?
Well, if I,
It's not a month, it's
he's
annual.
also paying.
Excuse me, $12,000 a year, I'm sorry.
He's also paying some 300, how much a month in liability insurance? Speaking of liability insurance, how much do you pay?
Over 300.
A month?
Yeah.
But that's not just for the jail, though.
That's just for the,
That's for my position at the jail.
At the jail.
yeah, so the 375 plus the 300, is it? For the liability insurance? So that's 675.
But does that liability insurance also cover Genesis House? Or
No,
No?
nothing to
Okay.
do with Genesis House.
Okay, because you also do other things, and I just,
Absolutely has nothing to do with that.
okay.
You're more than welcome, we'll provide you, if you'd like to get a copy of his contract, it's.
No, I don't need a copy. I
No,
was-
no, you're, I mean.
I
you're
don't
welcome
either,
to
but
get
my
it.
question is, if you're going to give him an $8,000 raise, why can't that be advertised in the paper for other potential reverends or pastors for them to apply? Maybe perhaps they would work at a cheaper rate to save the taxpayers dollars. Put it, whatever, RFQ, right to, whatever that is, RT something or other. RFP and advertise it,
Right.
and accept, maybe there's a reverend in this room that wouldn't mind working for $10,000 a year. So why not explore options to save the taxpayers money? That's my comment on that one. Why can't, Commissioner Zimmerling, do you have any answer? Could this position be advertised?
I said that at the agenda meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on agenda items?
Before I make my comment, Mr. Ambasini, when and where was somebody threatened with cutting heads off? Because I've been coming to these meetings for a lot of years, and I can't recall. So can you tell me when that happened?
I can't tell you exactly when, but I can tell you that the individual that made those comments, and solicitor, would it be inappropriate for me to mention the name?
It probably would.
Was it in the paper?
I believe it was, but I don't recall that. I recall the incident because I was sitting right here in this chair at the time it happened. And the commissioners were Sean Kavanaugh, Vince Vacides, and Harry Albert. And the guy was back there and he quoted some Chinese news story about getting people, chopping people's heads off, and he said something like, this would be a good thing to start here.
Oh.
And we went to the magistrate's office, and I represented the county at the magistrate's office, and the magistrate said that it didn't rise to the level of a terroristic threat. The court reinstated the charges. It went to a different magistrate. The guy was bound over from magistrate's court, and he entered a plea. I'm gonna guess that it was about 1999 when it happened.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago, back in the 90s, yeah. And I think I know who you're talking about.
Probably did.
He no longer attends commissioners' meetings.
I don't think he lives in Fayette County anymore.
No, you're right, he doesn't. In fact, I don't think he lives in Pennsylvania anymore.
I don't think he does either.
Okay, now, Mr. Ambrosini, when you go to the House of Representatives, state or federal, or you go to the Senate, when do they hold public comment?
They don't.
Then why are you comparing them to us?
They do have a gallery where people,
Why are you comparing them to us?
they do have a gallery where people can observe.
Right, they observe, but there's no public speaking. You're absolutely
So
right,
that's-
there's
that's
no
a
public
privilege- That's a
speaking.
privilege that we're giving you here.
You're not giving me a privilege, thank you very much. That it is my right, not your Don't ever tell me you're giving me a privilege to speak, because you're not. You're absolutely not giving me a privilege. I don't know who you think you are, Mr. Ambrosini, but you better come down to earth
If you
to
have-
realize
if
who
have a
you are.
comment On the agenda items, please.
I'm
proceed.
speaking about the agenda items. I want to know, under the prison and the raise for the chaplain, is that money is that money in the budget for a $7,500 raise?
Yes, it is.
It's in the budget, so you knew you were gonna do this a long time ago.
We had discussed this, Mrs. Mazza, at a prison board meeting. We had discussed it in a commissioners meeting, I recall. We never adopted it formally, but Reverend Saunders had brought it to our attention last year, maybe even right before the beginning of last year, regarding the liability insurance issue. And was the county picking that up at one time, Reverend? No?
Never.
Well, you'll be able to explain in more detail regarding, and that was associated with that increase. So the 12,000 was the 375 plus the insurance liability, and then obviously the increase would be 670 from 675 to 1,000. So it would be a $325 increase.
Well, don't you think that Mary Beth is correct that this should be advertised? Maybe somebody will work for, yeah, I don't understand how you're spending all this money you're spending. Where's it coming from?
This was budgeted for, ma'am, that's all I can tell you.
It was in the prison fund, it does say that.
Yeah, it's out of.
Prison allotted it.
It's out of the.
Okay, even if it was allotted, don't you think maybe we could get somebody to do it for less?
Well, the question
And
is, Reverend
it should be
Saunders,
advertised. I thought there was a resolution in the county, anything over $10,000 has to be RFP.
that's 18, the state changed the law, it's now 18,000, just to let you know. But Reverend Saunders has been, how long have you been a chaplain with the maybe it's time that you get up and.
2005.
Well, thank you, she's touched.
2005, discretionary spending.
Yeah, if you would please, Reverend, because I think you're gonna be able to clarify.
This is public comment. This is
Well,
public
there's
comment.
questions that are being asked.
Well, but another
We have
member-
somebody in the
another
audience
person asked
quoting
a
when he
question
started.
that wasn't allowed.
The gentleman's here, I think it's only appropriate that he's able to respond.
I agree, and then that's why you should have said the same thing when Mary Beth Homestack asked the question, and you said no. And
No,
you-
I actually
We're
engaged-
not being consistent in even in conducting a meeting.
Let's,
First of all, nobody said no. We
Let's
actually
ask-
made inquiry with Reverend Saunders on some of the questions that Ms. Homestead had brought forth.
She asked a specific question, and she was told to
What
wait
was
till
the
later.
specific, repeat that question?
Yes, she was
She
supposed to
asked
wait till later.
Oh, okay.
let's,
No, later.
if you could finish all your comments, and then, when we get to the prison, we'll have the Reverend, answer any of the questions you may, ask.
Okay, pretty much, well, I think, most of these have been commented on, but I want to bring them up again. 4 business days, to register 4 business days before the commissioners meeting means that I don't know why anybody would register to start with, because I certainly am not going to, and I will speak. But they have to register on Wednesday after the agenda meeting, which doesn't make sense, because you're not giving the public time to learn what's on the agenda and to call and register. And why should somebody call the courthouse and say, my name is so-and-so and I want to speak about such and such? You're getting paid to sit there as commissioners and listen to the people. That's part of your job. Agree? Whether it takes 2 hours or it takes 4 hours. And I tell you, the meetings go on and on because of the actions of the Board of Commissioners. That's why the meetings go on so long. It's your fault that they go on and on and on.
No, the reason meetings go on and on is because we currently don't have any limitations on public comments. So, and like all the other counties do. I mean, we have our neighboring counties, Westmoreland and Westmoreland and Washington counties have basically the identical meeting rules.
But
And-
you know
and
what,
they're- and
Mr.
they- and they
Ambrosini?
conduct
I
their-
live in Fayette County. I don't live in
Yeah, you know,
Westmoreland
in-
County or
You know, in
Washington
Fayette
County.
County, the citizens of this county have every right to conduct their meetings just as professionally and as efficient as any other county. You know, we're making some great strides to raise the level of professionalism in this county beyond what it's been, and this is just another step into making that happen. We have important business to conduct. And the image that is projected outside of this room is less than desirable. Yeah, Fayette County is a great place. We have tremendous opportunities in this county, and I particularly am happy I live here in Fayette County, and I just want to make conditions better for everybody in this county. And we can, we can waste a lot of time here, but it's keeping me from doing what's important.
And what's that? Bringing jobs to Fayette County, which you haven't mentioned since you got elected?
Oh, we're working on that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
working
glad
on
you're
that.
working on it. I can tell you this, Mr. Ambrosini. During Mr. Zabatowski's stint as chairman of the county commissioners, he never had a problem with public speaking and people act, as you say, acting up. Same thing with Mrs. Zimmerman. She never had a problem with people in long meetings. Neither one of them did. So maybe that should tell you something. Now, as far as the quorum, when was the last time that you had somebody act up to the point where it got out of control?
You mean physically or verbally?
Either one.
What happened this morning?
When?
When your husband called me a tyrant.
Well, you're just telling the truth.
The problem is, this is just verbal attacks. It's petty.
Well, aren't you a big man?
There is no place in this room for that lack of decorum, that lack of
That's not lack of
disrespect.
decorum, Mr. Ambrosini. That's telling it like it is.
That's-
Which you
that's
obviously
simply-
don't know because you fabricate so much stuff when you sit there at that table that people don't even believe anything you say anymore.
Well,
For
that's
instance,
your
at
opinion.
the last meeting, you said, I just want to hurry this meeting along because we have a 1:30 meeting scheduled in this room.
Well, we had a published meeting. Now, this
No,
is
you
correct.
didn't. There was no published meeting scheduled for this room, and you sat there and you out and out told a fabrication,
No, that's
and
not
I'm
correct.
true.
We had-
Yes, you did.
Ms. Spencer, we had a rezoning, we had one.
No, you did. There was nobody here
Was that the
for
one-
me.
They waited outside for us, for you guys to
Yeah.
listen our house.
And they left.
Mrs. Mazza.
No, I think you guys ended up having it.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mazza.
No,
You're simply.
your own assistant sat there and said, no, there is no meeting scheduled here.
Well, traditionally, ma'am, we have rezoning hearings at 1:30.
Traditionally, right.
And I was of the belief that we had that meeting that Tuesday, ma'am. I'll check with the planning office, so just to get that.
And did not Nicole say there's no meeting scheduled here? Does anybody remember Nicole said there's no meeting scheduled here?
Mrs.
There.
Madison, could we kind of keep this to an agenda item, comment, please?
That's an agenda item. You're saying that the citizens are out of order and all that, and it's just your opinion. Well, I have one more thing I'll say because you just don't get it, Mr. Anderson. I'd like to quote something that I read in the paper today.
Does this
And
have
this
to do with
would
an
state-
agenda item, ma'am? Mrs. Madison?
This says, Simmerlink is part of a 3-person group, governing body, where members are not empowered to, my eyesight's bad, you have to excuse me, and I'm having trouble reading. Simmerlink is part of a 3-person governing body where members are not empowered to act individually. She cannot be considered a policymaker under the statute. And that was said by Fayette County Attorney in court on the front page of the Herald-Standard today. So, Mr. Ambrosini, you are part of a 3-person group and you cannot make individual in other words, stop what you're doing and become
No, I
part
didn't
of
write
a
that for her,
3-member
Commissioner
board.
Ambrosini, so do not say that.
I have
You
the
just
same
asked
thing
me if
written.
I left the word out. Mrs. Mazza, did you and I have any conversation at all, whether it was by letter, telephone call, email, pigeon, since the last commissioners meeting?
I haven't seen talk to you or
There you
even
go.
thought of you.
There.
It's on the front page
Right,
of the
but he had to make
Herald-Standard
his
today.
comment.
I have the notes too, I was gonna mention the public comment, the 3
Okay,
commissioners.
thank you, Mrs. Madison.
Um,
Are there any other
You know, I
public-
do recall, and if you are gonna say that she and I spoke, which is not correct, make sure that you also say who you spoke with before you came down to
Yeah.
a meeting, just in case anyone comes up to the podium.
Who did he speak to?
He can answer that himself.
He won't, but,
Mr. Eversey,
oh.
you go around doing things all on your own. Just like you were negotiating since October on that swampland where you want to put the prison.
Mrs. Madison?
And you are one person of a 3-member board, and it's time you learn that you cannot do that. That is not right. You're being unfair to Mr. Zabatowski and Mrs. Zimmerman. Very unfair, because they hold as much power as you do, and you're not giving it to them. And you're cheating the citizens of this county by doing things on your own. You're not the mighty all of everything.
Mrs. Madison, that's your opinion.
And there are a lot of smart people in this county, and some of them are smarter than even you think you are.
Mrs. Madison, you're welcome to your opinion, but you're way off base. We vote on everything in this meeting.
Oh, come on, Mr. Ambrosini. Come on.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, please. My name is Charles, and I'm from Indian Town.
Good morning, sir.
About the prison 15, about the Reverend's raise, I'm here to speak on it real quick. As everybody knows in this room, I know the commissioners do, I was locked up for 10 months and a day last year for child support. I might have saw the Reverend maybe 3 times in that time I was locked up. I dropped request slips for contact for spiritual visits from my spiritual leader, which I'm Wiccan, and for one-on-one visitation, so I have spiritual time with her. And that was never answered. I never received an answer written back saying negative, no, nothing. I asked him to help me find and locate a job for me, because that was one of my stipulations getting out of jail. If I could find a job, I could be released so I can go to work for child support. I gave my list of my work skills, which also includes my being an Army veteran. I still haven't heard from him, but one word about if he's helping me or what he's doing. I know inmates over there who has drop slips in for church services, to attend church services on Sunday. No request, no answer, no yes, no, nothing. I didn't receive any religious material to read from my religion, nor did I receive any, like, I'm Wiccan, I'm a nature-based religion. I asked to go outside for time to be commune with nature. That was denied. Really, I didn't hear nothing about yes or no. I'm just saying denied. He did come to see me one time when I was locked up. And that was when I was put on psych meds because of medical conditions, which is against my religion. I'd let my spiritual leader know in a letter about that. She got a little bit upset and called and asked him about it. He came down to my cell block and almost begged me to call her to try to cool her jets down. I dropped in request slips, which I handed to the guard that day, and again, still haven't heard anything that I could call. So it never went through. So I don't see where the raise needs to come in. And liability insurance, yes, I know that's important, but how much liability is to walk through a gated community? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, any other public comments?
Yes, sir. I have a
Gets
public
pissed
comment.
off at this.
Sorry, Dave.
Well, no, because I'm not here for that.
On the
But it is a
agenda.
pertinent question.
I don't need your advice, Aaron Rossini.
It's still.
First of all, with regards to the resolution, I wasn't gonna speak on the resolution because I am aware that your ability to curtail public speaking in situations like this is protected by circuit court decisions. However, content, I think you're gonna run into trouble with. I know you guys don't seem to care about liability or what the law might say, or you just go and do your thing. But I'm telling you right now, you're gonna get laughed at as hard as you got laughed at over trying to stop the video recording. So keep that in mind. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, that's awesome. But when you start messing with the content of what people have to say, you've crossed the line.
Let me ask a question. What's this about trying to stop a video recording?
Yeah, that was part, until you were told that you were absolutely out of line. Are you telling me that Ms. Yager's story is incorrect?
Are you accusing anybody up here of trying to stop a video recording? I mean,
Only in it was in the paper that you were going to do that.
It's in the resolution.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's still there?
Notice.
Wow. Okay, whatever.
yeah, point that out to us.
Oh, no, it was in the newspaper. I didn't say it was in the resolution. It was in the newspaper when you first started discussing limiting speech in these venues. The idea of limiting video recording was also mentioned. Unfortunately, the law did not support you. I don't know why you're looking at the resolution. I never said it was in the resolution. Yeah, well, everybody's listening.
Number 3.
Oh, no. This is out of line. This is out of line. Number 3, I really thought you had sense enough to take this out. Really? This is absolutely out of line. Mr. Cupp, you know better.
Well, actually, I wrote that.
You know that. You know
In
better.
other place.
You know
and
better.
this is supported in other rules that are throughout the Commonwealth.
You know better.
Well, I disagree with you, ma'am. And if you want to express your opinion to the extent that they limit it, you're welcome to do that. But you and I disagree as to what that means.
And so
Period.
does the,
You
and
cannot.
so does the TNA attorney disagrees.
Huh?
TNA,
I'm sorry?
that's the,
And so does the Pennsylvania Newspaper
Oh.
Association disagrees with the solicitor on that.
Well, anyway, I'm not even here.
I'm just pointing it out.
I'm not even here really to discuss this. I don't care. You are well within your rights to limit, to impose a time limit. The courts have recognized that business does need to take place. And, but I think you're crossing the line and opening up taxpayers yet again to more liability by attempting to limit content. Again, this is not, and I don't even really want to go into this. This is not your kingdom. I mean, you don't sit there with that gavel in your hand and just go, well, I think it should be this way, and I think it should be this way, this is the way it's going to be. That's not how it works. And that's, you know, I don't want to be here. I haven't wanted to be here. I'm here because I have to be here. And what I've seen from you, Mr. Ambrosini, is pretty sad. But let's get to why I'm here so I can actually go home now. Regarding Terry Sanders. Mr. Sanders, you and I have never met, but we have talked many times over the phone. Acknowledge?
Correct.
All right. Before I came here tonight, I reached out to somebody who is very close to you and thinks a great deal of you. And it tempered my comments for this morning. Mr. Sanders has been less than accommodating to me and to those who are not of his faith. Mr. Sanders' ministry through Genesis House, through the community, I'm not here to speak about. I have no idea about his church. I have no idea about his activities outside of the prison. So I want to be really clear about that. I am strictly talking about his performance as a chaplain within the Fayette County Prison. He was ordered, Reverend Sanders was ordered by the prison board, you, Mr. Zapatowski, you, Mr. Ambrosini, and you, Ms. Zimmerling, to provide a Wiccan inmate with the level of spiritual guidance provided to him by Title 37. He refused to do so for almost 30 days. Not quite 30 days, but almost 30 days. Your directives were ignored. He was insubordinate to this board, to the prison board, to you three commissioners. And to give a man a raise for the job performance that he doesn't perform, really, is kind of uncalled for. And it is a liability issue as well. I mean, if Mr. Bittner chose to, he could sue the county, he could sue the prison, he could sue this board, he could sue Mr. Sanders personally, but I'm sure that all your liability premiums would cover that, so it really wouldn't matter much. But Mr. Ambrosini, if you really, really want to raise the level of professionalism in this county, start with the prison. Fire Brian Miller. Do not, I'm not gonna say fire Reverend Saunders, because when you work for that little money, firing is kind of silly. But the man does not deserve a raise. This is a position that requires an open mind and broad experience, which Mr. Reverend Sanders does not have. I would encourage this board to not follow through with the raise. I would encourage the board to answer my question as to why your directives were ignored by Reverend Sanders. And I hope this is the last time I have to be here.
Are there anybody, yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one sentence. I just wanted to, one question, since when Mr.
Please make
Sanders.
it quick, because you already have.
I know, this is a continuum. When Mr. Sanders speaks, I won't be able to ask him questions, so could you, when he does speak, could you ask, is there still a life skills
You can
class?
still ask questions at the
Oh, when
end
he
of
gets
the-
up like that?
No, at the end of the meeting.
But this is before, I just wanna know before he, is there still a life skills class for women inmates at the prison?
Did you say for women inmates?
Yes. Is there still one?
I'll answer it at that time.
Okay, and Bible study and weekly prayer. And is there anything in the prison handbook regarding hiring people with, sort of like records, that you would find on the state? I mean,
I'm not sure I understand.
well, I don't wanna get personal, but,
You wouldn't have brought it up, so continue.
well, no, I mean, could someone with who was.
Felony?
felony or in prison in the 90s, are they allowed to be employed at the jail? Is that, is that,
I'd have to check with HR, I'm not sure what the rules are off the top of my
because
head.
I know at the state level that wouldn't be tolerated, but someone who has been incarcerated for a year and then again for 4 months for controlled substance, for various things, I mean, should they be a chaplain? I'm sure it's an example of how it changed my life.
I don't know the answer to that, Mary
What?
Pat, but we can find out.
Because it's on UJS portal, it's like 5 different instances of drugs,
I'll do the job for free and I'll do it better.
Okay, yes.
Hi, my name is David Cho. I'm a lifelong resident of Fayette County. I have 2 brief statements. I'll be as short as I can. I would like to state publicly today that I have no intentions now, nor in the future, to ask permission from this board to express my First Amendment rights. With all due respect, as an American, I do not need to ask permission to speak, especially from my servants. And that's what you are. You are servants to the community. That said, if the time limits were truly being enacted for efficiency of meetings, one might be obliged to accept those requests without much resistance. But those in this room and across this county who have been paying attention know far better. The inability and intentional reluctance to answer questions are what cause our long meetings. Purposely attempting to avoid the public by playing politics, by changing meeting times and locations, are what cause long meetings. Being unprepared and failing to have done your due diligence prior to the meetings cause long meetings. Do not attempt to put the blame for your lengthy meetings on the public. It's not the public's fault. Your constituents are willing to endure these long meetings when you aren't, for one reason: trust. They do not trust you. They take the time and attend your lengthy meetings because they question your decisions and fear your motives. Again, these are your fault, not theirs. Limiting their time will not fix that problem. And my second statement is this, and it has to do with the prison issue. It was alluded to slightly today. I just want to make a public statement that, to my knowledge, I don't know of a soul on either side of this prison issue that does not want to see a resolution to the prison, does not know there's a problem there. And with that said also, I don't know of a soul on the referendum board or any other that oppose the guards, the unions, or their safety. And it's been my impression that that is now trying to be pitted against the folks that oppose this prison. It's not that anyone does not want to see this prison problem fixed, and it is not that anyone has a problem with the prison guards and doesn't want to see them have a safe work environment. So to have the impression made, or the potential future impression made, that anyone is against that is not accurate, and I just want to make sure that's a public statement that everyone's aware of. Thank you.
Any other,
my name is Jim Killinger. I'm a resident of Fayette County. I'm commenting on item 18, resolution 14. There have always been laws, rules, policies, and regulations to follow in our society. They're in your home, they're in your place of employment, they're in your schools, they're in your government, they're in your military, and all other organizations. Since a young child at home, attending school, being employed, serving in the military, going to various meetings, I've never had a problem with following the rules as long as I knew what was expected of me and others on an equal basis. You can't conduct a business meeting when there are those who want to debate and forward an agenda using the First Amendment because their goal is to argue and further their cause at the expense of others and drag our meetings far beyond what's needed. The Commissioners' meetings are professional business and should be conducted as such by everyone present. These meetings must be controlled so everyone has a voice, and that's done by setting policy and making sure it's followed. The time limits and other rules are without argument and must be put in place as Resolution 14 calls for. And of those of you in this room who get the Herald-Standard newspaper, where they have the rules for letters to the editor, I suppose that also is against the First Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bunch of crap.
Are there any other comments on the agenda item?
Prepared statement.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to. My name is Rick Carlins, and I'm a resident of Farmington area. And I would hope that Mr. Zabatowski would have been here also, though he might come in. I just want to say that I can't see this as anything more than silencing the opposition. That's you're referencing, well, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but with regards to a 1999 incident, that nobody in this room, has done anything to threaten anybody or anything like that, at least to my knowledge. But the thing is, when you tell the people that they can't talk and you're going to tell them what they're going to do and whether they like it or not, then that kind of creates hostility from the people that you're telling not only that they're going to do it your way, but that they're going to have to pay for it, because it's the taxpayers that are going to have to pay for the prison. And I've heard you speak a little bit with regards to it's going to be transformational, that we're going to end repeat offenders and treat the drug offenders and so forth so that they're all better and heal them. But really, there is no better teacher than pain. When they reach their bottom, when they find out that they can't do this anymore, and when they hurt bad enough, that's the only time that they're going to change. It's not going to happen before that. That's human nature. That's the way it's been all through history. You can't, I'm not sure if you could cite a case where just trying to do good just because you love somebody and you want to change them, that you could explain to them what's the right way to go and they go there. I mean, do you have for instances of that? I've just seen in then too that, I've heard that, I don't know the specifics of it or anything, but the amount of money that is going to be paid for the property that was bought, that was referred to as swampland, it's been undermined, and nobody in the area wants it, was beyond top dollar. It could never have been purchased for that kind of money in the open market by another citizen. Nobody would want to pay that kind of money for it, and so we don't, because that's the kind of decision that we'd make as tax-paying people. We don't want to pay that kind of money for it. And we want to be able to speak to you to let you know that. And if you didn't oppose the people so strong, it just, if we were allowed to talk. I was self-employed all my life, carpenter. And you work on different places and that kind of, some things require more patience and more time than others do. It's not all the time that you're going to have this opposition. It's only when people realize what it is that's being done to them. And, we just don't want it to be done to us. So you need to hear it. It's your job. It's your job. And, like I said, I really wish that Mr. Zabatowski would have been here. I don't know why he had to walk out of the room during public comment.
Often.
So, yeah, I know, often, but it's a good while. So, it's really, you're using every excuse you can in the book, and I'm not going into any details about how people would be threatening. It takes too long, this, that. This is nothing more than silencing the opposition. And we know that. And we really, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. It's what we put you there for. You were voted in, And this is just something that's going to require a little bit more work from you to listen to us and maybe look into other, other opinions rather than what it is that you have your mind set to do. That's it.
Any other comments on the agenda items? Seeing none, I'm going to ask Mr. Bob Carson to please come up.
I don't know what this is about. Next time I wish the staff would tell me these things.
Mr. Carson, this is an award that we're going to present to you. It's a PCOMP award. The Pennsylvania County's Worker Compensation Trust a program of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania presents the 2014 PCOMP Loss Control Award to Bob Carson for outstanding efforts to reduce claims for Fayette County. It's March 2014. Mr. Carson, I appreciate your exemplary work for the county, and this is a acknowledgement of those efforts, and I'm sure you'll find a nice place to put it on your wall in your office, and keep up the good work. Would you like to make a few comments?
I appreciate the recognition of the award, and I really didn't know I was going to get it. We were challenged with looking at the county's overall performance with our workman's comp and our loss claims, and we took a good look at the numbers and sat and reviewed the information with the P Corp, and then through those folks, they gave us some money, grant money, to match what the commissioners would give us to making some safety improvements. And that's, we took some steps forward, and we're going to continue doing that route, and hopefully we can continue to keep our losses down and work with these folks to use some of our money that we spend on annual premiums to get a little bit back and use it to make improvements to the courthouse.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
You have something? Sorry.
Okay, start with the business meeting. The item number 5, Fayette County Redevelopment Authority. Consider approving an amendment to the contract for sale of land between the Redevelopment Authority, Fayette County, and Red Fayette LLC to permit the construction of a hotel development at the Fayette County Business Park.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of a resolution which authorizes the Redevelopment Authority to make budget revisions to the county's fiscal year 2009, 10, 11, and 12 community development block grant programs.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Commissioner, if you
carries.
don't mind, Mr. Kovacs has to get back to.
Oh.
Yes. And they've been here for
Mr.
over
Kovacs,
an hour and a half.
yeah, the,
Thank you. Yeah, if the Board of Commissioners would consider and approve our contract extension with Ford Business Machines for copy machines, it's the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the Board of Commissioners, with the exception that we're going to get an additional copy machine and an additional 10,000 copies per month in our combined wattage.
I'll make a motion.
And this is under the juvenile probation office.
Adult probation.
I'm sorry, adult probation office.
Correct.
Move to, he moved, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. No second?
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Under the Assessment Office, consider approval of the following for a real estate tax exemption, as she has been qualified as a surviving spouse of a deemed 100% disabled veteran by the Veterans Administration of Pennsylvania, effective for the 2014 tax year. Mary A. Hawk of Farmington, Pennsylvania, deed number 42-22-0003-10.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider entering into an agreement with Senior Care Network for a payment in lieu of tax for the following parcels. The Board of Directors for the nonprofit corporation have an appeal before the Common Pleas Court to gain a tax exempt status. The agreement would be for an indefinite period. And there's two, unlimited senior Senior Housing Incorporated, Herald Presbyterian Senior Care on 1215 Hutton Road, Oakmont, parcel number 34-04-0057, located 61 North Salem, or New Salem Road. Current county revenue is $10,174.59, and the proposed settlement is for $2,647.56.
Solicitor, remind me on these payment in lieu of taxes, is part of the resolution an agreement that it states for an indefinite period of time?
Yes.
It does say that. Thank you. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Second one is unlimited senior
No, I
house.
thought they were.
They're
Second.
different numbers, so.
Did you move?
I will, yeah. You'll second, or you have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval to send 4 certified assessors for a 3-day, 15-hours of continuing education classes to 7 Springs, Somerset County at the cost of $450 per assessor. No overnight lodging is included.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under Behavioral Health Administration, consider approval of the following agreements and modifications. Base contract agreement.
I'll make the motion to approve the following agreements and modifications as listed on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval to exercise the lease purchase option on a 2011 Ford Escape leased through Ford Motor Credit Company for $13,373.55 as an addition to the Fayette County Behavioral Health Administration fleet.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the purchase of an Avaya IP office telephone system through the PA Department of General Services Co-Stars program to replace an aging system.
Move.
The two,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the upgrade of an existing computer infrastructure to a complete virtual environment through the PA Department of General Services Co-Stars program to ensure HIPAA compliance.
Move.
With the, as listed, with the cost as listed on the agenda.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
As
Item
part-
item 8.
Excuse me, just make sure, we have to, as part of these resolutions, to be clear and have the dollar amounts in there. Is that not correct, Solicitor? So I want to be careful stopping short here. I'm just saying approve the contract.
If it's possible, put a dollar amount on it, should be in the resolution.
Correct.
Item 8, Children and Youth Services. Consider approving the lease for 2 2014 Ford Escapes through the statewide contract program at a cost of $46,570 for a 4-year lease.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9, the Controller's financial condition of the county.
Thank you, Commissioners. Dated this 15th day of April 2014, in our general fund United Bank checking account, we have $3,212,613.70. Monies that are owed to the general fund, which include temporary loans, the ferry insurance policy, are $3,274,981.39. ARC payments due to the fund, $140,060.51. Central service payments due are $78,686. Funds that our general fund owes, tax anticipation note of $9,500,000. Our budget year net position is negative $2,793,658.40. In 2014, revenues year to date are $5,146,484.06. Total 2014 expenditures are $7,929,761.64. Total 2013 expenditures paid in 2014 are $1,120,484.47. In our capital reserve fund balance, Fund 51 is $247,095.03. In our bond fund balance, Fund 53, we have $209,102.16.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the controller?
What's the, I know we had got an email last week on it. What's the, to-date cost for out-of-county rentals? Are we still?
200,000. $200,242.29. That's an increase of $21,137.29 over last year at this time.
And last year's total amount was?
$1,218,865.
Okay, so we're on track if, let's hope not, of course, but if that would be the case of an increase of some $240,000.
If the numbers hold currently, that could be, yes.
To the 1.2, in addition to the 1.2. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 10, the courts. Considering entering into a contract with the state constable Brian Kelly to work at the Fayette County Booking Center at a rate of $15 per hour, contract expiring 12/31/2014. Contract needs to be retroactive to February 25th, 2014.
Move.
I asked this question at the agenda. I'm gonna ask it again because it wasn't a definitive answer. Has the individual been paid since the February 25th date?
I think she answered no. That's the urgency to make this correction because.
Controller Lawley, were you able to check to see whether or not that person has been paid?
I haven't got an answer back yet from the courts.
Ms. Revac, do you know?
I don't know that, Commissioner. I'm not sure.
The reason I'm asking is if the individual was paid, then I would say that we may have signed off on this requisition or something, and then there would be a ratification. That's what my question is. I asked that question at the agenda meeting. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I understand.
She said she hadn't submitted any payment yet because he can't be paid without a contract.
Did you make, is there a motion?
I made a motion, yes, ma'am.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approving a contract with HDS Center for Hearing and Deaf Services Incorporated for interpreting services for the court, or the court needed for a police interpreter. Will use services in future when necessary.
Move.
Just to understand, this is not solely just for this type of interpreter. You've read the contract, solicitor. This is for all interpreting services. I don't want anyone to think that we're entering into a contract one time just for that. That's why it says we're entering into a contract with this company to provide interpreting services for the courts. Correct?
Yep.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item 11, Emergency Management Agency. Consider approval of the following contracts proposed from Motorola for maintenance services for the new radio system for 10 years. The first payment will not be due until 2015 and will run through 2023. First 2 years maintenance is for existing equipment presently owned by Fayette County. Newly installed radio equipment is covered under the warranty until 8/1/2016. And, the maintenance contract is as listed on the agenda.
And you'll place that in the resolution. Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Fayette County Office of Human and Community Services. Consider approving the consolidated operating shared ride PWD, WTW, fixed route, and consolidated capital application for fiscal year 14-15 to be electronically submitted to PennDOT.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approving the application of 5310 formula funding through FTA for fiscal year 14-15 to be used for fixed route operations and capital.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval to advertise public hearing, public participation plan of projects for 9 a.m. on May 9th, 2014 at the Fayette Area Coordinated Transportation Office at the Joseph A. Hardy Connersville Airport on Route 119.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider discontinuing the Morgantown, West Virginia fixed route provided by FACT as of July 1st, 2014 due to poor ridership and end of the 2-year demonstration.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider awarding bid 14-03 for facility modifications to Waller Corporation of Washington for $62,384. No other bids were received after advertising twice.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approving FACT's corrective action plan for the PennDOT's review on shared ride persons and with disabilities and welfare to work programs.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under Human Resource Department, CYS, consider ratifying the resignation of Ronald Covert from caseworker 1 position effective March 28, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider accepting the resignation of Samantha McClellan from a caseworker 2 position effective April 17, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Buildings and grounds. Consider, Mr. Carson, this item, is this ready to be voted on?
Yes.
Do you have a hire date?
21st.
Of April. So consider approving the hire of, and who's the individual?
Travis Frankhauser.
Of Travis Frankhauser as maintenance worker 1 at SEIU, pay grade 5, step A, at $10.70 an hour, effective April 21st, did you say?
Yes.
2014.
Bob, who all, how many, this position was posted,
Yes.
and how many individuals, were there any internal bids?
We had one internal bid. That bidder withdrew his bid
Okay.
request.
And
there were 4
Yeah, this,
applications.
this person here is not a current county employee, is
Not
that?
current county employee.
Okay, so we had, you then had 4 resumes submitted from
Yes.
non-county? Okay.
4 applications.
4 applications, and did you interview all 4?
Yes.
And you are recommending Travis Frankhauser?
Yes.
Thank you,
Fresh out of school and certified in HVAC.
thank you.
Did we vote on that?
No. There's a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of Brad Wendell as a temporary summer clerk at $7.50 an hour effective May 5th, 2014.
Mr. Carson, how many individuals were interviewed for this position?
This young man here.
Is this through PIC or
No,
another
it's
organization?
through the county's internships.
Okay, okay.
He worked with us last year.
Okay, did you interview anyone else?
Nobody else,
Apply for it? Okay, thank you.
If I may, if we could jump ahead.
Well,
Yeah, we gotta pass
we have
this
to
one.
vote on
Oh,
that
you
first.
already got it.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We're gonna jump,
Over to number 16, public works, so here, we've got a AC unit that's now up in the
Can
911 center.
Let's finish all of the items under human resources.
Okay.
So, for the purpose of making certain that it's easier on the staff, okay? And then I don't have a problem
I
with
understand.
jumping into number 16.
Okay, under EMA, consider approving the promotion of part-time 911 dispatcher.
What is the name of, Chief Clerk, you were given the information and gave it to us. It says Jackie Gregg. Is that correct? Jackie Gregg, to full-time dispatcher at Step A, grade 9, at $26,603.20, effective April 21st. That's correct, right? Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider ratifying the temporary hire of 911 dispatcher trainee Elizabeth Aria at $8.50 per hour effective April 1st, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the promotion of part-time bus driver Jason Tishko to full-time bus driver at SEIU pay grade 7, Step A, at $11.40 per hour effective April 16th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of Jack Fleming, Scott Wise, and Donald McDonald as a part-time bus driver at $11.40 per hour effective April 16th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under Fayette County Behavioral Health Administration, consider ratifying the resignation of clerk typist Karma R. Kruger, effective March 28th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider placing on the agenda ratifying the resignation of clerk typist 2, Sharon L. Rankin, effective April 7th, 2014.
I'm gonna change that to approve the ratification of the resignation of the clerk typist 2, Sharon L. Rankin, effective April 7th, 2014.
I'll second. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the transfer and promotion of Christine Collier, County Caseworker 1, from Children and Youth Services to County Caseworker 2 at Fayette County Behavioral Health Administration at $15.54 an hour effective April 16th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
Commissioner Zakowski moved, I seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of Jamie L. Brain, clerk typist 2, at $10.90 an hour, effective April 28th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of Mary Della Serpinko, clerk typist 2, at $10.90 an hour, effective April 28th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire. Amy, do we have somebody there for that?
Nicole L. Kemet, K-M-E-T-Z, clerk typist 2, at $10.90 an hour, $21,255 annually, effective April 28th, 2014.
So it's Nicole Kometz. Okay. Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, Bob, we'll jump to 16.
No, we're still
Oh,
going
you
in.
still have,
Yeah.
not yet, Bob. Okay, under prison, consider approving the 180-hour volunteer internship of St. Vincent criminology major Anthony May, effective May 12th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under public defender, consider accepting the resignation of Joel Harkins from the investigator position effective April 11th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approving the hire of,
The name submitted was Alexander Fogel, F as in Frank, O-G-L-E, right, as investigator of SEIU pay grade 9, step A, $12.23 an hour, $23,848.50, effective date 4/16/2014.
Was this an internal bid or?
I don't know, this is just submitted by the.
I'll move.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under tax assessment, consider ratifying the resignation of Jennifer Mattis from the Assessor 1 position effective April 7th, 2014.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll jump to item 16, Bob.
Request the Commissioners consider approving the purchase of steel shelving for the clerk of courts to use for their record storage in the basement of the federal building at 34 West Peter Street, Union County, PA. Shelving to be furnished by Shane Felder Industries, 1569 Pittsburgh Road, Union County, PA, at a cost of $6,482. Shelving units to be assembled by county employees as per layout design from Shane Felder Industries. This is the same shelving that we use throughout the basement of the courthouse itself right now for record storage. It needs to be both by department codes and has a steel rack, wire welded racking systems, so it makes it very, very flexible. We look at multiple vendors on the shelving, but none of them could give us as much storage with their design shelving as what they changed.
So in other words, you followed county code bid procedures and made some telephone quotes and or quotes to seek other prices. And this, and Shane Felder is, meets your requested specifications.
Yes.
And is at the best rate. Yes. Thank you. And is the money is budgeted in which line item? Maybe the chief clerk could help us out on that one. Was it budgeted for 2014?
They did not have, they equipped the clerk of courts department requested in their budget shelving.
Was it chief clerk, do you know if it was placed in the chief clerk's budget? Was it placed in?
I do not believe it was placed in the clerk of courts.
Was it?
No, it was not placed in the
Okay,
clerk of
do you know
courts.
if it was listed on the capital, any of the capital projects?
The capital projects, I believe, were all $10,000 or more to be a capital project.
Anything on any other?
I was gonna take it out of my equipment. We had a separate line item for equipment, so that we lost the number of air conditioners that we've been losing.
I don't believe you should take this out of the building and grounds budget. You budgeted those funds for requested repairs to the courthouse, right?
It's in lieu of emergency repairs. We had one bid for air conditioning down here that we already had that we know we want to do. So we put money aside for that, and then we put additional money aside because of the history we've had with our air conditioning units, the compressors going in at $2,500 to $4,000.
So you're saying to take this out of your line item is not going to cause you any issue for the remaining year of 2014, or that you're willing to take that risk?
I'm willing to take that risk at this point in time.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Item 14, planning and zoning. Consider RZ 14-1, Fred Pounds, Dunbar Township, requesting an extension of B1 general business on property currently zoned R1, moderate density residential.
Move to approve.
Just a point of reference, I did text Sarah to ask her if this was the hearing that was, when was it heard? And it was in fact heard after the last commissioners meeting, but due to the length of the commissioners meeting, the meeting was not convened until 3 p.m.
I don't think that's the one you were referring to, but at any rate.
Well, that was after the last commissioners meeting, that's all I'm saying.
I move to approve.
Did you second that? I'll second that. All those in favor?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Under item 15, prison, consider increasing the monthly contract reimbursement rate paid to Reverend Terry Sanders to make it commensurate with the level of professional chaplain services he is providing to the Fayette County Prison. This request is to increase his reimbursement rate from $375 per month to $1,000 per month, retroactive to and effective January 1st, 2014. The prison was given a 2014 budget allotment of $12,000 for this purpose. Reverend Sanders, could you please come up to the podium? And could you enlighten everyone on, what your job requirements are, what you do, and
I'd say first, good morning to the chairman and to the commissioners and all those that are here, and to the public. Good morning, thank you for coming out. My job as a chaplain at Fayette County Prison started out as just one coming in as a volunteer, and I was asked after the current chaplain, Frank Lewis, had left to take another position, if I would consider taking the chaplain position. At that time I did, and at that time, upon taking the position, there were some things that were not in place. If I could speak of one specifically, the women, the females, were not allowed to have, they were not having chapel services in the chapel. They were still having them on their range, and so they weren't getting a full chapel experience. And so with the current warden at that time, Warden Larry Madlock, we approved that and increased the chapel services for the women, and by doing so, the attendance increased, and we believe that we were able to make an additional improvement in their personal development. Also, what I do there was not being handled by my office at that time. I currently handle all the recovery classes coming into the facility. By that I mean the Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous classes and any other treatment classes coming into our location is under my office. There was a question asked, do we still have a life skills class for the women, and it meets on Saturdays. On Saturdays, it's called Celebrate Recovery. It is a more of a faith-based class, but it's lined up with some of the standard steps with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics, but they talk about the whole approach of life transition for the women. So it is a life skills class. It's conducive of child rearing and just the total rehabilitation of your life. So in addition to that, I do daily rounds in the facility. I'm there 4 times a week doing my rounds, typically in the evening, because in the daytime we do not have a facility that meets the requirements for us to be able to have office space for me to be able to meet with anyone. And so I'll come in the day. If someone had a death in their family, one of the counselors will remove themselves and allow me to immediately be able to meet with that individual, and we will begin to help them during their time of loss, bereavement. The other part of my job there is we try to help the men with the rehabilitation as far as employment. There was a statement made by Mr. Bittner that I did not help him. The current employment agencies that I'm working with currently did not have employment that he was seeking. Most of the jobs we have right now are labor intense jobs, and he has some physical inabilities, and so that's what he was told. Okay, and I did meet with that. I do meet with those folks in the part of the prison where he was at. I didn't know that.
Again, if I may, just interrupt you for a second.
Yes, sir.
I would be, Mr. Cupp, you might wanna, he is acting as a 1099 employee, but also representing, even at this point, the county. In regard to your personal exchanges with individuals and their particular issue that may prohibit them from engaging in employment or other matters, based on the services you provide, without releasing, you don't want to talk about that unless you have the individual's permission to do that.
As far as, give me more detail.
I don't want to get specifics, but physical disabilities or anything like that would fall under some levels of privacy. So
Yes.
just exercise some caution.
Yes. Thank you. So, with that being said, we held religious services, that's Sunday services, every Sunday, 8 o'clock for women, 9 o'clock for men. And then we do Wednesday Bible studies, men and women. So there is a full scale of activities based on the spacing and time that we have been allotted to be able to do. We can only do so much, but we also have other organizations coming in during the day. We have the courts coming in, we have mental health coming in, and so there are so many different things that are running through in and out of our facility. I just wish that I would have had the opportunity to bring probably, since I've been the chaplain, one of the 500 or 1,000 men whose lives that I've been able to, under the chaplaincy, be able to change, instead of having one come in and say that I have not done my job.
Well, may I ask you a question? Do you believe you brought about change?
I believe I do my job. I do my job with efficiency. I do my job for all those that are involved. I do want to speak briefly to something that was made to my charge, that I did not provide services for a particular religious base, and I did. I communicated as the board told me to that individual, and for them to call me back and give me specific dates when they could come in, and I did not get a return call. I did my due diligence. Anybody who calls to come in as a clergy representative to see anybody that's in our institution, they call me, I return the call. We set up clergy time, which is 5 o'clock in the evening. That's based on if we don't have something else going on in the location. Prime example, if you have a meeting today at 5 o'clock set to visit, you're a clergy member and you have a parishioner in our institution, and at 5 o'clock your meeting is set, but we have a situation that happens inside the institution, which is a security breach. Anybody from the outside is removed immediately from the building. And that happens at times when people don't understand. They think that we're just not allowing it in our facility, but our number one priorities at the institution is care, custody, and control. Those are of the utmost importance for the individuals coming from the outside, for administration, and for our workers, and for those who are currently incarcerated in our institution.
That's a lockdown, is that what it's?
Yes, we would have to lock the facility down until that security breach has been cleared. I hope that is sufficient for my
Just
job
if you can,
description.
the report was raised regarding how many hours. I know it's very difficult, especially a man of the clergy, to rein in hours because your hours are 24/7, 365.
Yes.
If you could ballpark it for the basis of the question was posed, can you give
Would be
me
at minimum 40 hours a week.
at minimum?
At minimum 40 hours a week. But that also includes when I get a call on a Friday night at 11 o'clock from the staff lieutenant about somebody's mother dying. And I need to go in and talk to them and sit with them, hold their hand for 2 hours. See, we don't understand the full scope of what the position entails.
It's difficult to understand unless you're in the field of, the clergy, because again, it's 24/7. I mean, God doesn't have off and on hours. I understand that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reverend.
The basis of this increase was not of salary in nature, at least. It was designed, and I know discussed in many prison board meetings regarding the Reverend's stipend. And how long have you been with the county, Reverend?
I started there in 2005. In 2006, I took over as a full-time chaplain. May I also address the commissioners saying that my stipend was at one point $500. My superior officer, Warden Brian Miller, came to me and said, "I think you should get a raise. You've been at that same level, and we appreciate everything you do." He went over, and I ended up at $375. I don't know how that happened, but that's where we are now.
And the insurance liability, and you've provided documentation
I have.
on that to the prison board, is at $300 a month, correct?
Correct.
So technically, if you're losing $75 a month at the $375, you haven't been paid. You haven't been paid yet. And
Can I just say this? That listen, I don't know. I think we have one clergy in the room, and I don't know if anybody else would understand that but him. We know we have bills to pay too, but when you're doing your life's work, what you're supposed to do, if this wasn't a job for me, I would have left when I got the deduction. It's not a job for me. This is my life's work. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So when you know what you're supposed to be doing, all right, and even though you still haven't got your bills to pay, you try to pay your bills the best way you can. And we've been doing that. My family, that is, we've been doing that. So this is a passion, what I've been called to do. I'm prayerfully, those that are sitting on the panel there, you're doing what you've been called to do. And as we all do our job, we continue, as what I believe the commissioners are trying to do, pull our county up to a level that we're respected. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
being that the prison board meeting is it next week, or is it next week? Yeah, the prison board meeting the week after. My son messed up my phone, I can't figure it out.
The 30th, the 30th is the last Wednesday, so it'll be 2 weeks from tomorrow.
It will be the 30th, yeah.
The one thing I want to make sure of is, before I make my motion, is that Pastor Saunders received the restitution from the $375 that has not been paid of him as of today, and I believe that's in the process, correct? Correct, Chief Clerk? And then also, Pastor Saunders, if you provide us with documentation of the insurance liability, I would only think that that would be another item that he should be made whole on. And then the balance of which I'm gonna acknowledge that the prison board meeting being in 2 weeks or a week and a half, that or 2 weeks, that we allow for the prison board to make a recommendation to this board regarding their desires, and all three of us serve on it. Hopefully, Controller Lally does as well. And that will provide clarification to this board in their meeting in May. And we can make a determination as to whatever our intent is. But Reverend Saunders, your contract is not up at this time, right? You're a 1099. So I would make a motion that the county would consider reimbursement rates paid to Reverend Terry Saunders in the amount of $375 per month, as well as any additional costs made in the payment of i.e. liability insurance coverage paid out of pocket to date by Reverend Saunders, and then the matter regarding the full stipend as budgeted would be reviewed by the prison board and a recommendation made after their April meeting.
That's changing the entire.
Well, that's what I was, well, I mean, we've done that before, Commissioner, in our men.
Can I
we've read a
finish my
couple.
sentence?
Yes.
That's changing the entire agenda item. And also, there is nothing in the contract that discusses reimbursement, in the current contract that discusses reimbursement of insurance.
Excuse me, would you speak up a little louder?
I said that his proposed motion changes the entire resolution that we approved for the agenda item. And it also does not reflect the terms of the current contract. And the current contract does not discuss any reimbursement of insurance, and nor was it even raised when the RFP was done in 2011 and the contract entered into.
I will acknowledge that and withdraw. I do apologize for what I think is something that should have been corrected by either this board or the prison board. I do apologize. I would hope that the $375 to date is paid as soon as possible. And then, Pastor, if you don't mind, we'll address the other and get a formal recommendation from the prison board as to the balance of that.
You don't need a recommendation, or the prison board is merely, would only recommend, and we all know what the outcome of that is going to be. The second thing is as I stated at the agenda meeting, the current contract is $375 a month. The invoice was submitted, processed through the commissioner's staff and to the controller's office. If it was done for $375, then obviously it has to be paid under the terms of the contract. What was done instead was a request for $1,000 a month, which was $12,000 a year, and that is the red flag that came up not only by me but also by the controller's office. That's why I didn't sign off on it. You can't increase the terms of the contract without having a vote and to change the contract itself. Although it was approved by two commissioners, my fellow two commissioners, and processed through the accounting system, it was red flagged not to not pay the $375, because that's not what the request was. It was red flagged by the controller's office that says that he did not have the authority to pay the $1,000, and that was correct. So the $375 should have been submitted and should have been paid for January, February, March. There's no, as stated before, glitch in the system. It was just something that should have been done.
I will tell you that I was certain that there was some action taken by either the Board of Commissioners, in the previous meeting. Obviously, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It wasn't because the contract, as you stated, specifically pertained to the stipend of $375. Again, I just want to see that if he's providing these services, as with anybody, providing services and dipping into their own funds to cover costs that are basically being incurred.
You're going to need a legal opinion on if the issue is raised of reimbursement of insurance, solicitor cut, because the RFP went out prior sometime in 2011 and the contract was awarded, and if there was no mention in the RFP at that time and the contract awarded, signed off at that time, then there's I don't want to get into it now. This was just to you, and obviously you cannot address the issue.
I got a motion to table.
I didn't know either. What?
Huh?
That was
me.
Well, you didn't make a motion to table.
Well, I withdrew my motion that I made previously, acknowledging the.
Okay, are you
comments.
making a motion to table?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second it. No, I'm not gonna second the table, I'm sorry. You're making a motion to table, right?
Well, yeah, you seconded the table pending the review of the prison
Yeah, I'm
board.
not gonna second that, because I'm
Okay.
not gonna vote to do it in this manner.
27,000 retroactive.
Can I address something real quick?
Yeah.
Am I allowed? I'm just talking to the pastor here. One of the things that we do at our church is I buy insurance to cover everything I do. public meetings wherever. If I go to the prison speak, it covers the church, it covers me. So we're gonna work together to get this other covered, that 375.
Well, this was something we need to talk with P-Corps about, because I think that, we gotta address P-Corps on this, Pastor, as well to see. No?
That was brought up at the prison board meeting. I brought it up.
Liability, whatever, yeah. That's it.
Nothing's going to happen until another commissioner returns. And I'm going to make my comment now, okay? Here's the way I look at it. Commissioners, we're obligated to enter into a contract for goods and services after publicly seeking bids and proposals. In 2011, an RFP was done for chaplain services, and a contract was issued and a contract was signed. That contract did not have any provisions for any increase in amounts. Two commissioners and a solicitor now argue that, hey, the terms of the contract can be changed in this type of manner. And I not only disagree with it, but I also say that when you do something like this, then you have two commissioners who, or whoever the two may be, by taking this action, not allowing the process for open bid process to occur in the county. Whether they vote today or tomorrow, or whether they wait for a recommendation by the prison board, which we all know what's going to be, and come back again, regardless of that, if you vote to extend the contract and with an increased amount, making it retroactive to January 2014. It's basically an invitation to all vendors in the county who have a contract that does not address increases to come to our commissioners meeting and ask for an increase. So, next second Tuesday of May, any event at our agenda meeting, any vendor who wishes to, who doesn't have under their contract a provision for an increase, that's an open invitation to come here by two commissioners, by placing this on the agenda and thinking about voting for it, to say, hey, we have increased insurance rates, we have other issues and we believe that we should be paid more. So that's sending out a message. It should not be done. This is no reflection, pro or con, on the services of the chaplain. What this is about, as Commissioner Zimmerlink, my opinion as a county commissioner, is the process in which to award contracts and seek services under the county code, and to make certain that the county commissioners are seeking public bids for these services, to make sure that we are getting the services that we want and under the amount of money that we're being offered. There are a number of other chaplains and men and women of the cloth who should also be able to submit their interest. It was done in 2011, and it should be done, if you want to change it again, it should be done by an RFP. But that's my opinion. Whether the solicitor and the commissioners agree with it or not, that's the proper way in which we should handle any increases in contracts.
First of all, vendors, I think we agreed to extend the terms of a contract today with a vendor for an additional 60 months, and I believe that vote to extend said contract was unanimous.
Right. Under different circumstances, it was to extend, and I asked the questions about the co-stars.
I understand. I didn't say
It's apples and oranges.
Again, I'm just presenting my apple then, if you will. We did extend that contract today. That contract does go in excess over the $18,000 threshold in the requirement. If we wanted to get, because some folks agreed with the co-stars program before, some didn't. Second of all, I think Reverend Saunders is a 1099. Controller, we don't have that many 1099 employees, do we?
No.
So his circumstances aren't, and again, this is an apple and orange, because I do agree, your services aren't like a copying machine or anything like that. Your services are unique in nature. We did RFP this back in 2011. I don't think we got anybody else to respond. So again, I want to just table this. I couldn't get a second to table. Pending discussion by the prison board and subsequent action either thereafter or no action, and the Reverend will be paying $375 and then the $300 plus his insurance and you know, be operating with a $75 profit.
There's a motion on the floor to table.
Control-
By Commissioners Abakowski.
I just had one comment. The Reverend Saunders is a 1099 employee under the provisions of County Code in Section 1802, Paragraph 5, as John can attest to. Is the services considered a professional service? If so, that precludes the requirement of sending out an RFQ or an RFP for those services. I don't have that answer. I'm not an attorney, so I'm asking
Well, it's
John.
below, even if it was below the state statute amount of 18,000.
Correct.
To get
it
an
is.
RFP.
Yeah, to do, required to bid. So I'll make a motion to table. I thought that was what they wanted to do in the first place, but I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry, Ray.
Item number 17, tax claim. Consider approval of motion to accept the following bids from April 1st, 2014 repository sale bid opening, subject to all conditions being met as listed on the agenda.
Move.
Second. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 18 under Commissioners, consider a motion to approve the February 26th, 2014 Special Commissioner meeting minutes.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider a motion to approve the March 18th, 2014 regular.
They're not ready.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not ready?
Which
Okay.
ones? The March one,
No.
The February ready, the March needs to be tabled.
Okay.
The February's okay, we read.
March
Yeah, he was
needs
on
to
the
be
March
tabled.
one. Okay. I didn't.
Make a motion to table.
Second to table.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval to establish rules for public comment at all Commissioners' meetings as attached.
Mr. Chairman, these are recommendations that you have made, and Mr. Cup has prepared them. Mr. Cup, do you believe these meet any, you said that other counties use the same?
They are similar to the regulations used in other counties, and that's the framework in which I drafted the resolution.
Again, my opinion on this after reviewing these the other day were based on one thing and one thing only. And I desire to make sure these meetings do not become a spectacle, whether it be in the eyes of the people that are watching this on YouTube or wherever else it's televised, Herald-Standard or wherever. I do recall in the 90s as well, and I could tell you that in the halls of Washington, D.C., it was discussed and laughed about, quite frankly, and I say that with regret and embarrassment, the behavior and conduct of the commissioners in some cases, as well as those in attendance. I do agree that we've gone a little beyond the point of public opinion, and when you make comments directly to an individual that challenge their credibility either in the eyes of the law, or you make comments referring to them as tyrants, dictators, whatever. These are not rules that impose for one not to be able to speak. This is just rules that are being developed to provide some structure for the meeting. So I just wanted to say that my father too fought, God rest his soul, fought in the war. He was 16 months as a gunner in Korea. And he sat in these meetings for the last 5 years and actually was mocked because he was mom and dad. at these meetings. Well, my father is no longer with us, and I would love for him to be sitting in that chair right now. But he too used to remark after the meetings, whether they were attacks coming at me or any of my colleagues in this board or previous boards, that this would not go on, where he was a magistrate in Menneson for a number of years. It would not go on in Westmoreland or Washington County, and I have to agree. This may be Fayette County, but we can debate or exchange, and I'm guilty of it, Ms. Umstack, in that October meeting, and I again do admit and apologize, but we have to come to some understanding that, would we want our kids to come here and hear this? Would you want your kids to behave like we do, or in this whole thing? Would you want your kids to tell a teacher or a principal that they were a tyrant? Would you want your kids to hear you cite that somebody has done something illegally, whether they have or have not? I mean, Commissioner, please. I mean, I believe a couple of years back, there was comments made about you while I was chairman, and I believe I had the courtesy and the respect to gavel them down. Even my mother, I think, got up and said something, because it wasn't right. And I'm not saying I have all the answers for everything, and you may disagree with 99, which clearly you do, 99.9% of what I stand for. And that's your right, and that right is exercised every election. I know I've done it twice. Some of us have done it once, some of us have done it 3 times. But the fact remains is, that's just not where we need to be. If we want to disagree, disagree. But let's do it with some understanding that we're, first of all, humans. Second of all, that we all have families. And I'll be honest, security is a reason. I cite this because I am, and it's still being reviewed, received some emails that would be defined as a threat, not just to me, but to my family. And one most recent was that we could come in here anytime we wanted to with and you saw it, both commissioners saw it, a firearm. If we didn't want to get you in the building, we can get you when you walked outside. So to me, that's a concern. I have a son, I have a wife, I have a family too. And they have rights as well as you, to see their husband and their father come home. So of asking that you comply, and if it's not working, we'll fix it. But asking that you comply with these is not in violation of your constitutional rights. To me, it's making the meetings more conducive for, first of all, its first purpose, which is public business. Second of all, if the concern for safety is an issue and I have it, I have that right too. And I have that right to feel that way about myself and my colleagues, these folks, and you all. So don't begrudge me my rights either. That's all I have to say. I'm not asking, I'm just giving my opinion, ma'am.
I mean, but today's meeting was
So
okay.
I will make the motion under the stipulation that we'll see how they work under implementation. But as far as registering and all of that, I would like to discuss that at another meeting. But as for today, I will make the motion as the resolution is written.
That's like pass the bill before, and then we'll read it?
No, ma'am. I'm talking about making a clarification on some items in the resolution.
Let's do it now.
Well, let's do it now.
No, wait, are you
I
making
said-
a
That's our
motion?
health care.
What?
Are you making a
I
motion?
said, don't pass it and then try to
No,
fix
I've
it.
read it, ma'am. I'm just saying I'm not allowed to amend the item of the agenda.
Then don't pass it.
No
Ma'am.
one said you can.
Okay, well, I would like to
I
make
thought-
some changes in the resolution under 14, if you don't mind. I would like to, if this is possible, Mr. Cup, because there were a couple points that I wanted to bring up for discussion, and I just didn't want to challenge anyone here, the commissioner on her comments. Mr. Cup, may I be able, if permissible, to change the item regarding the requirement date to contact the chief clerk to Thursday by the close of business?
What you should do is make a motion that says what you want.
Well,
In other words,
I
if your
want
motion says that you want to approve resolution 14
That's fine, I
as
got you.
attached with the following amendments or changes, make that as your motion.
And you're gonna and here's what's gonna happen. And he's permitted to do that, obviously, but you just had a room full of individuals who came here to comment on the resolution that was provided. Told to come, given the resolution, told them to come up here and make their comment. Now they're all gone. and they don't even have an opportunity to now make comment on any of the changes.
Well, it's only one change, actually.
Regardless if it's one,
Well, it's actually something-
15 changes.
It benefits us.
Then I will
It doesn't
make-
matter if it benefits us. No, you as the citizen, no, that's not the issue here.
Then I will make the motion as it stands written. I will be bringing up amendments to this resolution at the next month's meeting. But as of today, I make the motion as it stands. And that's the proper way to do it, we'll do it that way.
I didn't say it was.
No, I'm saying, Commissioner, I'm just saying, that's the way we're gonna do it, so it's my motion. If it gets a second, great, if not, it dies.
Solicitor Cup, you can, respond. I made a comment that was very clear. You can go ahead and make your.
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Cup, to adopt the motion at the resolution as
You made a
attached.
motion. You should call for a second.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion.
Aye, but I will.
Now you can comment.
Yeah.
Nay. That's not what I asked you. I know that there's a motion and a second. I've been doing this since 2004, and then there's a vote. I totally understand that, and thank you for that. He asked you for an opinion. You did not get an opportunity to state your opinion, therefore I was asking you to go ahead. He now says he doesn't want your opinion at this time.
Mr. Cup, your opinion was, if I can quote you, was I could make a resolution as attached, or I could make a resolution and have an amendment to that resolution. I chose to make the resolution, as you stated, as attached, since there was some discussion on whether or not it would be beneficial to make a resolution and an amendment when folks have left the building. And that's, okay.
So there's a motion by Commissioner Zabatowski and a second by Commissioner Ambrosini to pass this resolution as stated.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Nay.
Aye. Motion carries.
And, for more than 10 years, we had Commissioner Vasides, Commissioner Zimmerling, and Commissioner Hardy. None of us restricted citizens from questioning the actions of their commissioners or questioning the votes of their commissioners. What we did is we conducted our meetings, we took care of county business, we answered the citizens' questions, and then we moved on. Okay, there was no need in the eyes of Hardy, Vasides, and Zimmerling to do any types of restrictions. Now what we have here is we have two commissioners who complained because of the length of a meeting. This meeting here, I believe it's about 20 after 12. We started at 10, but it was not all because of comments from the public. We had Reverend Saunders, who took an opportunity to speak on his contract, which was right. We had proclamations, so you can't, as another citizen eloquently stated, you can't blame it on the citizens for holding up the meeting. So it's not a matter of a 2 or 3 hour meeting. They also complain that they have to sit here and listen to the citizens. Well, that is, as the citizen stated, and as I've always stated, that is part of our job. We represent the county, we represent you. You have an opportunity to publicly speak on any county issue and to question our votes before we vote, as well as after we vote. And every citizen has that right to express their opinion at our public commissioners meeting and to question us. And I'm not going to play a part, whether it's today or at the next commissioners meeting, I'm not going to play a part in this type of restriction to citizens' right to question their county government or to question the commissioners.
We have one public session.
I'm just gonna say that this was also a resolution, and it would be, this resolution was initially adopted in '97 by Mr. Vasides, Mr. Kavanaugh, and Mr. Albert. It was unanimously carried.
And it didn't work then, and it's
Again,
not gonna work
Mrs. Bass, if
now.
it doesn't work, I'll make a motion to abolish.
That is it. The statement that Commissioner Zabatowski just made, that that this was the same as in 1997, is that correct? That's what you said?
That's the attachment that I'm reading.
Okay, it is not the same. It is not the same. If you look at the attachments, I believe you have,
Well,
It's all together
it was
different.
1997, Commissioner Vasides, Commissioner Nels, and Commissioner Kavanaugh did not put the same restrictions
That's right.
as the two commissioners today did. It is very clear, anyone in this room, turn to the last 2 pages of the agenda, read what it says, and then read the resolution that those two just passed. It is very clear that they are different. So you don't try to say that Vasides, Nels, and Kavanaugh did this that did not occur. It's in writing.
We attended those meetings and this is far more restrictive.
Well, not only that, but the resolution itself is totally different.
Yeah, it's,
And we should
And
have
that is,
it back.
and it was written by Mr. Cupp, first of all, and I do give him acknowledgement for his understanding of the law. In the original resolution adopted in 97, it did a lot for speakers to have registered at least 4 business days in advance of the chief clerk, shall be 3 minutes. The time allotted for the speakers, I mean, so there's some similar language in there. And then it was amended also, just as an FYI, to require persons who wish to, but it was also amended one more time, March of 97, also in a vote carried.
Citizens, you can review it for yourself. You have them attached,
Yeah,
compare it, and then you know that that's.
Well, again, we'll take a look at it, and I'd like to make some changes to it next month anyway.
Okay. Consider approving the request of the Joseph A. Hardy Consular Airport to use $30,336.74, which is the balance of the county paid 2010 $50,000 special hangar allocation for their operating expenses.
These were 2010 monies, I'll make the motion.
Second, all those in favor?
Nay.
Aye, motion carries.
I don't agree that the county commissioners should be giving county tax dollars from our general fund to the airport authority to pay for any past due operating costs or for their fuel bills. I don't agree that it is an allowable use of the county general fund. Two commissioners and a solicitor may believe otherwise. I do not. Even if the county code is unclear and specific on the issue, and leaves it up to the commissioners, it's not only not in the best interest of the county to begin paying past due bills of the county airport, but it also sets a precedent for other municipal authorities who have either funding issues or cannot pay their bills, to then come into the commissioners second Tuesday of next month and say, we as a municipal authority need some money for our past due fuel bills or any other bills, and to ask that we also give them money. It extends to any vendor, any municipal authority member to come in and to ask that we help pay their bills using our county general tax dollars.
Just as a point of history, the county has budgeted money to the airport in previous budget years. This was monies that were provided in a match to an RCAP, correct, Commissioner?
That's correct.
And those funds were designated to go by the county. We gave them these monies for the match on the RCAP for hangar construction. That subsequently did not occur, no fault of the airport authority. They are a direct partner with the county, and they're in need of our help regarding some solvency matters, and I think it's important. We always talk about airports, economic development. We talked about economic development earlier today, so do we, is that a facet of economic development? I believe it is. I believe it's essential, and that's why I voted for it.
We have to subsidize.
We subsidized them before. We've given them money before.
We have to subsidize rich people that own airplanes.
They didn't, the airport, the $50,000 was given for a special project, for a hangar project. They used a portion of that towards the bid process and obtaining information from, I think it was Baker Construction. And then they decided to scrap the project. And basically what they're asking now is that they now be allowed to use the balance to pay past due airplane fuel bills and any other, and any other operating expenses. As I said, of course I want to support the airport. Airport needs to support itself. Airport has had their own issues. They need to promptly address them. It's way past due that they have not addressed them in a fashion that even the FAA has been seeking, and for the county to use general fund tax dollars to pay the operating expenses of a municipal authority, number one, in my opinion, is not an allowable general fund use. Even if Solicitor Cup comes back with a 3-page review, I'm still going to, because it's not very clear in the county code, specifically saying municipal authorities. The point is that they need to address their past due issues in the appropriate manner using their revenue, and the county general fund needs to do the same. And you're going to have, it opens up the door for other municipal authorities who have past due operating expenses to also say, give us some money from your general fund to allow us to pay our bills. That's why I voted no. Yeah, that's why I voted no, but it passed, so we're done with that item.
Let me point out a couple things. First of all, the FAA report that found some deficiencies came out approximately 3 years ago. Those deficiencies weren't handled until within the last 12 months when there's a new administration at the airport. And all those issues have been resolved except for one, which is weather related and can be handled now during the spring and summer. The other thing that I want to point out is there was a study done, airport study, that looked at 12 airports in the western half of Pennsylvania, similar size to the Connellsville Airport, and the municipalities or counties that ran those airports provided a minimum of 30% operating funds to those airports and a maximum of about 50%. So, you know, if a dozen airports in the western half of Pennsylvania are providing operating funds, I'm pretty sure it's within the county code rules. So, and the airport, as Commissioner Zabatoski indicated, is an economic tool for this county, so we want to make sure that it survives and thrives. And I have to give credit to the airport management currently out there, because they have been doing an exceptional job of keeping them solvent and solving the problems. They've done remarkable work in the last 12 months, and I applaud them for that.
The county code does address our obligations to support our county airport, and we do support our county airport, but not to use our county general fund tax dollars for their past due inefficient operating expenses. That was my statement.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Why don't we just take all the fees and move everybody out of the airport and in,
Okay,
pay for
please,
it.
this is not public comment right now, Mrs. Mazza.
Okay, I'll
Can-
say it
can you-
after the meeting.
Can you wait? The next item is consider ratification of the following transfers as listed for a total debit of $3,595.93. Credits the same.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Under public announcements, the Fayette County Commissioners will be accepting letters of interest for the following: the Fayette County Health Center Board, the Fayette County Industrial Development Authority, and the Fayette County Airport Authority. Letters should be sent to Kathy Winkler in the Commissioner's Office, 61 East Main Street, Uniontown, PA, 15401, or by email to kwinkler@fayettepa.org. The deadline for the letters is Tuesday, April the 22nd. Let me repeat that, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014. Any other public comments or public announcements?
How much? Do you address that banner that's across the courthouse about the April 24th forum at Penn State about drug awareness, because it's such a big problem in Fayette County, prescription drug abuse, 6 p.m. at Penn State. There's a banner draped across the courthouse, and it's in the paper a lot too, about the forum is on drug abuse. April 24th.
Okay, if there's no other public announcements, if Mary Beth, if you would like to make that as a
Oh, I
comment.
thought I could do it, I'm sorry.
You
I thought
just
I could
did.
do it. Yeah, I thought you could do it right now.
You just did it, don't
You
worry.
just had it, it's just-
Okay, that's fine. Any other public comments?
Can I say something?
Hold 1 second,
I
sir.
sat here this whole time, and I'm not real eloquent. I don't have to go up there, I got a couple of words to say. You know,
I'll just wait my
I've been-
turn, please, by all means, I'll wait all this time, just let everybody talk. I'll just
You haven't
say-
waited any more than he has.
Okay, my problem is with this whole meeting, and especially with this limiting the time and all that stuff. You know, you guys, I think, were elected by the people of this county. And I think you get paid, okay? And, you know, for you to say that we as citizens can't say anything for a specific period of time, or that the meeting takes too long, what difference does it make? How long the meeting takes? If the people are saying things that are going to let you know how they feel. You know, I'm not somebody that likes to get up and talk in front of all the people and everything, but I'm just saying, you know, you've already passed this thing. There's nothing we can do about it. You can tell me to sit down right now, and I'll sit down. I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I think that law-abiding citizens ought to have the opportunity to speak about what they have to say and not be curtailed by a paper that says you can only have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, whatever it is. Because somebody might have something to say that's a lot more important, and they can't get it out in that period of time. That's just my opinion, and I just wanted to state it.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry I took
you're
I didn't
fine.
see you going up there, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I'll know when I come to a county commissioner next time that standing at this podium, it's not really necessary. I can just speak from wherever I'm at.
The chair recognizes the individual. Is
Well,
that
Okay, ma'am.
It's so frustrating
Well, I
being in here,
appreciate
and I
your
can
patience.
attest for those of you who haven't traveled the county maybe and gone to other county commissioners meetings, I do that for a living, and rest assured, they don't go like this. Okay, I've been to more than one county commissioner meeting across the state, and they do not operate in this fashion.
Okay, could you state your name, please? For the
Wendy
record?
Bauer.
Wendy, okay.
And as a taxpayer and somebody who's worked in corrections, I'm here to follow up on the rally that was held here this past Friday, okay? I'm gonna start with just a few of the examples of the tour that preceded that rally. 3 of the 5 cameras in your control center got nothing on them. They don't work. Open control booth, which is the hub for those of you who don't understand prison. A control booth is where you run your entire facility from. Do you think you want inmates inside that control booth? Because rest assured, look around the country. Those inmates can take that jail any day they want to take that jail. Okay? It will belong to them because they have access to what should be a secure area that is not a secure area. The laundry room with open wires hanging out of the wall next to water running down the wall. Hard rain, like it was doing on Friday as we were here, brought raw sewage running through the basement of this facility. Leaks in the roof have turned into buckets that have been there longer than some staff. It's become a joke in a facility that bucket's worked here longer than I have. Apparently the county can't even get new 5-gallon buckets to hold the water coming out of the ceiling. Okay, and to top it all off, there's no air conditioning, no ventilation in this facility. So you, as a taxpayer, do you want to go spend 10 to 16 hours a day? Much less being incarcerated there. I'm just talking about the staff who has to smell sewage and 110-degree weather because there's no air conditioning in this facility. Really? That's what you expect out of these folks? Sounds like more like a house of horrors, and the next thing that should come up on your agenda is taking well-served advice from the Department of Corrections of West Virginia and doing what they did to Moundsville, which is turn it into a haunted house, because that's apparently all about that thing is good for. Okay? Corrections officers doing the most dangerous jobs in law enforcement. We just completed a nationwide study that has the rate of a PTSD of a corrections officer is at 33%. That's higher than a returning Iraq war vet. They spend their shifts surrounded by people society is deemed to be dangerous and not allowed in our communities. Every day they're outnumbered. Every day they're outmanned. And the only reason that they get to go home is because the inmates decided you get to go home today. Because rest assured, there's way more of them in that facility than there are staff. And at any day, if those inmates want to take that facility with your lack of cameras, your blind spots, the whole facility, they can take that facility any minute. You just better pray to God they don't. And so far that they haven't. I'm not sure how the county at this point has not been sued federally, except you haven't had the right federal inmate incarcerated in your facility. All you have to do is take a step back and look at Allegheny County some years ago. They had a federal inmate who happened to know exactly what he was doing. And that federal inmate filed lawsuits, and you know what they have now? $168 million brand new facility in Allegheny County. And who got the rights to talk about that? Let me tell you what, it wasn't the taxpayers. Because when federal judges rule that this is unsafe and not going to happen, now I'm talking to the taxpayers right now, okay? And to them. I'm talking to both parties. Because right now, there's a big battle going on over this prison, okay? Cell space was too small, overcrowding, many issues that ended up in federal court. And because those issues ended up in federal courtroom, a federal judge, Cahill, said, we can't do this anymore, this must cease and desist. So at the end of that road, because of the overcrowding, here's what Allegheny was forced to do because of overcrowding. Your capacity at Allegheny County in their old jail was 725 inmates. When the books closed at night, after this federal order went into effect, when that book closed at night, if you have 730 inmates, pick 5 and let them out. If you got 740, pick 15 and let them out, because you won't close that facility. That is why they had to get pushed into building a new facility at $168 million.
And I know you, I saw you there, because there was a lot of union members there. There was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he tours facilities nationwide. I can't remember.
His name's Brian Dawn. He's president of the American Corrections Officers Intelligence Network. Bless you. Yeah, he was there.
And I know he had made reference to his tour of the prison,
and that's where I got this information. Sadly, this information has now gone nationwide, and Fayette County, again, is now nationwide for the worst prison in the entire United States. I'm sure that makes everybody here proud that we're all national news again.
How many folks have been inside the prison? May I ask? Have you toured the whole facility?
Well,
anybody?
I'd love to tour it.
When I get to the end of this, we'll kind of address that.
I would love it.
Just noted, just wanted to ask.
I don't know how your facility at this point hasn't been taken over by the Department of Corrections or the federal government, except for the fact that you've indicated to them that you're going to build a new facility. Otherwise, you're 2 steps away from us, taxpayers, and people who work in corrections across this country from bringing the ACLU down here and let them have a tour. Because I promise you, my hand to God, if the ACLU tours that facility on a rainy day, you'll be shutting it down the very same day.
If not sooner.
If not sooner.
They've already
that I can promise you.
They've already
Under the new PREA Act, which for those of you who don't know what PREA is, it's the Prison Rape Elimination Act. It's a Department of Justice federal law. There's no debating it. There's no moving around it. It's federal law. You will get in compliance with it, or the
DOJ will start to take over your facility. Do you want the feds to come in and take over your facility, or would you let the county to continue to run it the way they continue to run it? Because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, because when the feds come in and do it, it'll look much like Allegheny County, where they could have been in jail for 30, and instead it turned out to be 168 million. So when the DOJ comes in here, they're not gonna ask you as a taxpayer what your opinion is, they're gonna tell you how you're gonna do this.
You've been in the facility before?
I have, but 10 years ago.
Again,
Look, I don't care how we got here, I don't. We're not on one side or the other.
No.
I don't care if you pick the spot it's in, you find a new spot. I don't really care what you do. All I'm telling you is that your secret's out of the bag now, and we all know it. We that work in corrections across this United States will hold all these commissioners accountable. You will get a shovel in the ground, and you will commence to get a new facility done as quickly as possible, because we're not going to stand back and let those people who work in there continue to work in that kind of environment. And God bless the inmates that are in there that have to live in that environment. God bless them.
Well, we've been discussing this for over a year and a half, Ms. Bauer, and there's been action taken from the beginning to move this project forward. So I hope.
Well, again, there's a lot of debate over where you put this thing, and what everybody needs to understand is we do not care where you put it. We don't. We're not here to support one location over another location, extensions, annexes, new construction. I don't care about any of that. All I'm here to tell you to do is your secret's out of the bag now, and we're gonna get a new prison in this county. So it's up to you guys to work with these taxpayers and whatever you got going on with all these resolutions, different plans, different construction zones, whatever it takes, get a new prison built in this place before we have yours shut down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God. No, it's not, oh my God. But you take a tour of the facility, ma'am, and you might have a new reckoning. You go home and you sleep in your comfy bed. We'll have corrections officers walking around and crap and poop all over the floor. Okay? Having crap and poop thrown at them. They have blind spots. Oh, I'm not going to knock it off. I'll bring you the statistics. I will bring you the statistics and show you to me. You know what? Why don't you arrange a county tour and let some of these yo-yos who don't know what they're talking about.
My God, who paid you to speak?
Listen, maybe you've been through there, Dave.
I have
She
been.
obviously
I
hasn't.
want to say something.
You need more
I wanna say
information.
something.
No, I don't.
Wendy,
Hold on,
the last time I saw her, she was campaigning for
Rick Santorum.
Rich Santorum, and she still owes my wife a luncheon.
Yes, you do. You lost the bet, Wendy, and you never paid your debt.
Lost the bet, lost the house, lost the Senate, and lost the White House. I'd say somebody else.
I wasn't aware that she was a citizen of Fayette County.
Well, I am, and I have been for more than 10 years now. I pay taxes here just like you do.
Another thing
You
is,
moved permanently.
I want to say is I've heard that song before, and I heard it with the Uniontown school. They purposely neglected, and that's what they're doing. They're purposely neglected that facility, and because the money you guys have spent, you could have fixed the roof and fixed the sewage, but you didn't want to do that.
15 years to move a bucket.
And she's altogether wrong about the purpose of the referendum. The purpose of the referendum is not that we don't want anything done to the prison or we don't want a prison built. The purpose of the referendum was to include the people that's going to pay for it, to include the people that's going to pay for it in the process. That's what the referendum is about. It's not about whether we should or shouldn't have a new prison or whether or not we can remodel the old prison. It's strictly about the people being involved. And you've excluded the people completely. You've excluded the people. Another thing, your analogy of a magistrate's court with a public meeting, Mr. Radatowski, is kind of ludicrous. There was no public comment at the magistrate's court. Another thing I want to touch on is since when is the public denied access to this room on a meeting day? Last month, there was 6 or 7 people standing out there in the hall, and we were denied access to this room because the guard was told not to let us in, and then here comes the controller strolling down. He gets immediate access. We're still told not to come in. Then your mother, Mr. Zabatowski, comes in and really it was open sesame.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I'm telling you.
If you would have approached one of us or the.
Today.
Today?
No, today's fine. I'm talking about last month.
I don't, sir, I can't.
Last month, we were denied access. 6 or 7 people had to stand out there in the hall till your mother came. And then it was open sesame. They opened the doors and let the people in.
Yeah.
But the controller, now we're the employers, I thought. The employee was allowed to come in and play with his smartphone.
The guard says we can't come in till
we were denied
you're
access.
here.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
I don't have a clue.
Well, I know that you're.
I'm sitting here at 9:30, I don't
blame
blame
you. And I read in the paper where you quoted Mr. Ambrosini about we have so much energy and we have to get manufacturing jobs to come in. That's the same song you were singing before the election. How do I know that? I worked for you, helped you get elected, which I could kick myself in the butt for. But you're still singing the same song, and that's all you're doing is singing the song. There's nothing else been done. The only jobs we've had come in this place, come into the county is jobs that start at minimum wage. And you can't build a house or buy property and create a tax base on minimum wage jobs. And boy, we sure got a slew of them in this county. And no matter, all we've done is lose manufacturing jobs. And we haven't got anything. So people are still looking for jobs. But the worst thing of all is we're still losing people, and who are we losing? We're losing our most precious asset, the youth of this county. That go out and get education and learn things, and they have nothing here to do. They have to move out. How do I know that? We have 4 children. None of them are in Fayette County. They've all done well for themselves. They've all had good educations, and they've done very well for themselves. But they had to leave this county, and that is the youth of our county is our most precious resource. And nobody's ever done anything to change and keep that resource here. That's all I have to say. But I don't want to be denied access to this room.
Any other public comments?
Yes. So you passed your resolution to restrict the county citizens from speaking. I, for one, will not abide by those rules. I will come to the podium, I will say what I have to say. If it takes 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, I will have my say. I'm just telling you that so you know I'm not going to abide by the rules. Now I know the controller, commissioners, you spent a lot of vocal rhetoric speaking about paying $60 a day to move an inmate to Greene County, Center County, wherever you take them. And what it adds up to, and every time we hear the figure, it goes up. Mr. Lawley, how much does it cost the taxpayers for you to sit here and play on your smartphone every commissioner's meeting? For a whole day?
I make $49,000 a year. That's what I get paid. If you want to break that into 6 hours a month, and for me
me to text my office when the commissioners ask me questions. I think that's in the purview of what I'm allowed to do.
No,
Oh, it's not.
you're not here to answer questions for the commissioners.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
And when they ask me questions, I answer them. That's the fact.
Last commissioners meeting, you didn't open your mouth because you were not asking any questions. You are the only controller in 20 years that I've been coming to these meetings that sits here during the entire meeting. We pay you to run the controller's office and to work in the controller's office. We don't pay you to sit here and play on your smartphone. And that's what you do. You were here last meeting, the meeting went on to past 3:30. And you sat here
And
from...
was I a causality of the meeting going until after 3:30? What is your point?
My point is you should be in your office working, not
Part
here,
of my duties.
not here playing on your smartphone
Mrs.
like you
Massa,
do.
am I yelling at you? Am I yelling at you?
Don't,
Am I yelling at you?
no, but
Then
I'm
let me-
yelling at you
That's
because you're
fantastic,
not
so let me
listening to
explain
me.
you something to you. The commissioners, long before I became controller, designated they would like the controller to come and read their financial reports. That
The
is part of my
commissioners,
jobs.
The controller always came to commissioners' meetings.
No, not
They-
always.
Yes, they did.
How
They
did that
come-
happen, Mrs. Mazza? Who's the governing body in this room?
Listen,
Where? Exactly, and as are the commissioners. And they stated many years back they would like the controller to read the financial condition of the county as a part of stewardship.
and every commissioner before you came in the meeting, after the meeting started. They waited their turn, they were called upon to give the financial report, they gave it, and they asked the commissioners, "Do you have any questions?" They answered the questions if there were any, and went out the door and went to work.
Oh,
I'm not paying you to sit here.
okay. But maybe those citizens are.
Who wants to pay him to sit here and play on a smartphone?
Mr. Lally, I believe.
I don't see any hands up.
Again-
I think, Mr. Lawley, next meeting, after you give your report, please leave and go to work and do some work in your office. You're just proving to us we don't need a controller.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, hold on.
Mr. Lally, your duties as a controller, first of all, the issue that you're referring to is the controller would attend the meetings but never present a financial report. And it was actually discussed in folks,
Yes, they did.
no, if I may, can I finish? The year that they had the fiscal problems with the county, this is the, Commissioner, you were chairman at that time, and before you took office, the year you took office. Then the controller started to read the reports, because that was something that I think was acknowledged. He didn't do it. And Controller Lally, I think, does a great service to us by reading the reports, and he's here to ask, we can ask questions of his office as it relates to our office, which is closely intertwined.
That's always been the way they did it. The controller came in, read the financial report,
Yeah, well.
asked for commissioners if they had any questions, answered the commissioner's question, and you all have phones, and if you have a question from him, it's not difficult to punch in the controller's phone number and ask him the question on your phone. Why should the taxpayer pay him to sit here and do nothing?
I don't think he's doing anything. His job.
No, he's playing on his smartphone all during the meeting.
Controller Lally, you know your duties and your staff, and
Thank you for your comment.
so I thank you for being here. And you don't have, you're right, you don't have to be here. It's your choice, and at our request or consideration of here, you don't have to do that. You're an elected official, you could choose.
Well, it's a double-edged sword. We take a browbeating because somebody says, why are we spending 6 hours a day in a meeting room having comments that go over and above, but yet when you take the effort to be here to listen to the citizens, if they have questions for me, then I'm not doing my job. Mrs. Mazza, this can never be a double standard.
How many
If you
people
want me
ask
here-
you questions, Sean?
After the
Come
meeting,
on.
a lot.
Oh, come on, Sean.
Well,
You're so
Sean,
full of it.
I'm so cool with
Are
this
there any other comments?
Yes, I have some.
Unbelievable that you're so important.
I have to sober up here. Now, before that, I have no idea who that lady was that spoke before.
Wendy Byer.
She works in some association with a group that advocates on behalf of corrections officers. Don't know if it's state, national, or
Well,
whatever.
I just
She used to be head of the Republican
She just
Party
kind of flew in
years
there.
ago
Yeah.
in Fayette County. She came up from North Carolina or South Carolina.
Some
one of those
I mean,
states.
she's definitely from the South, I think it's South
Yeah.
Carolina.
I remember when she came up years ago.
Yeah, she was big, well, I'm not gonna talk about Sanford now, I think I got your idea.
She kind of flew in here and disrupted train of thought with her little renegade thing. I just, you know, it's like,
Please,
well, I'm just trying to focus now on my original thing now. Commissioner Ambrosini, earlier you referenced that Commissioner Zimmerlin may have been speaking to someone before the meeting, and she said,
I did not reference
you did, because she said you would just, somebody should ask who you just spoke to before the meeting. You were like, you were mumbling to her that she must have spoken to someone. So my question to you is, who were you speaking to before the meeting? Was it Mr. Killinger in his prepared statement, perhaps? Or was it this lady pro-jail? I mean, you know, you hinted that one of us spoke to her before the meeting, because whoever spoke, it was in reference to that. So my question to you is, who were you? Did you speak to anybody in this room? Well, the two people that have left, did you speak to any of them before the meeting?
I've never spoke to Wendy Bauer before today, ever. In fact, this is the first time I met the lady. Mr. Killinger is on the prison working group, so I speak to him on a weekly basis.
Did you speak to him today, before the meeting?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Maybe yesterday.
Well, okay, I was just, and then regarding, one other quick thing. What is the status of your plans for the women's are you still planning on building a women's annex before the new prison opens in December 2015? Or are you looking at those hangars at the airport to use as temporary housing for the women? Or have you just kind of put that, you are?
We're still looking at that facility, and what we're doing right now is we're trying to get a good estimate on what our projected inmate overage is going to be for the next 24 months, or actually from June of this year till the end of 15, because the cost of renovating any existing facilities, unfortunately, is significant. And so what we're assessing right now is whether it will be a savings for the taxpayers or not.
But if we're sort of like late in the game, wouldn't it just eat the cost, build a new jail? I mean, why do something at this point where I'd be like,
well, that's Mary
just,
Beth,
that's what you're considering. I mean, you're thinking about that.
That's why we need to build a new jail, because we're wasting valuable taxpayers' dollars right now.
But did you sign a contract yet with anyone to build the jail? I mean, have you started constructing yet out on that property?
We're developing specifications right now.
And then I just want to refer
let me answer your question. Mary Beth, we hired an architect, which we have a contract with. We're developing. He's working with all the stakeholders in Fayette County right now to make sure that we have an adequate facility to address our needs here in Fayette County. Once those specifications are completed for the design of the facility, then we will prepare bid packages and send that out for a request for proposals to the various contractors that will bid on it. Actually, we'll put it out. Any contractor can bid.
But did you not pay $200,000 already to Slater Engineering?
We've paid, I'm not sure exactly what the current rate
so
is.
So far, the county has spent $1.26 million on
okay, and that's great. That's progress. we're, you know, that's,
What have you got to show for it, though? There's no
We
building
have-
anywhere. Does this include the land?
are you saying we've made no progress?
Physical, I mean, I'm not seeing any structure yet, so to speak. That's what I mean.
Well, we haven't, we
You've got
haven't.
we got the diagram plans, the architectural plans probably.
So, I'm a little confused, Mary Beth. Explain to me why you think we haven't made any progress.
Because for, I don't know exactly when the prison thing started, but I jumped in.
About a year and a half ago,
Okay.
this
Well,
prison thing, as you call it,
correct.
started.
Well, there's no building yet. So what progress has been made? You haven't, I mean,
Well, let me,
I'm not being mean, of course, so I'm just.
Okay, let's back up. Let's back up. About a year and a half ago, I wrote an email. It was actually on July 17th of 2012. I wrote an email out to all the county department heads, and I asked for those people to volunteer to be on what I call a prison working group.
Right, I
Okay,
remember, yeah.
those are all the stakeholders. That's the courts, that's the jail itself, you know, the warden.
Oh, I know all about that. Right, it's everybody that's pro-prison.
Okay, and so over the last year and a half, we have been doing a lot of work in determining how we need to use this facility to address the needs of the individuals in Fayette County.
Commissioner, was
This
other
has been a-
people extended the same opportunity to join the prison working group?
We extended the offer to people outside the county.
Was it in the newspaper?
Yes, it was. I'm sure several times. And we've gotten a number of those offers, which we accepted. You know, and we've been doing a very good job in determining, you know, what kind of facilities we need to the best of our abilities, help the people of Fayette County. And I'm talking about the people that end up in our system, our judicial system, that are mentally handicapped, have drug and alcohol problems. You know, all these things that we have a very difficult time, and I'm sure Reverend Sanders can attest to this, we don't have the space to rehabilitate some of these people. Now, can we help everybody? No, nobody's saying we can't. But we can help a lot of people. And there's been a lot of counties are doing a very good job of rehabilitating inmates and making them productive citizens, getting them from the revolving door of recidivism.
This is the pro-new prison that you're, my question was really about.
Is there pro and anti-prison?
But I'm answering your question. You haven't seen anything today. You don't know that we made progress or not, and I'm explaining to you that we've made remarkable progress.
I'm aware of all of that, but my question
Oh,
was really.
then all you want to see is a building pop out of the ground? Is that what you're saying?
No, I want to know why you're spending money to pay these people and we don't know about it. You know, if it weren't for Commissioner Zimmerman's letter to the editor, the citizens would not have known that we've spent 126 already. Or that we paid them with all this money.
You know, first of all, everybody knows about this. We've put RFQs out for the architect. We've issued contracts. Mr. Lally has in his office, he has all the signed contracts.
Boy, I've asked for those
these
for
people.
many, many weeks and was told that they were not available. And
Who told you that?
when did those contracts come into, I've asked for those contracts at public meetings. I asked the chief clerk to provide me with a copy of a contract, and she said that was not available. And also, the contracts have never been, the architectural contracts have never been negotiated with the 3 commissioners and brought here into the meeting for a vote. And I have asked
We
for
did vote.
for con-
We made the
voted
resolutions
on
here.
it, voted on the terms of the contract after you issued an RFQ for, the negotiated fees.
Because I just, without reading this Sunday, Mrs. Mazza, did you know that we?
And anyone can go
County
into the
spent
controller's office and ask for copies of the
$200,000?
contracts, because I know
The
they're,
county spent $200,000 to the engineering before this article?
Mary Beth, I only get misinformation.
I mean,
My misinformation comes from there.
see, that's
And
what
all
could
I
be
know
discussed
is
at
what
meeting.
Mr. Ambrosini deems we should know. But everything is done behind closed doors.
That's not.
That is
That's
true, Al. You do everything behind closed doors. You've been negotiating with
That's not
about that swampland since October. Nobody knew it until it hit the commissioners meeting last month. It came out that you've been negotiating on your own. And you're not permitted to do that as a county commissioner. You're a board of 3. You're supposed to have equal power. And you give no power to Vince or to Angela.
That's absolutely incorrect.
What's incorrect about it? Did she know in October that you were negotiating to buy that property behind Laurel Mall to put the prison there? Did you know that,
No, I
Mrs.
didn't.
Zimmerly?
no.
That's because I wasn't negotiating.
You said you were. You made the statement that you've been negotiating since October for
I've been
that
talking
land.
to about 25 different property owners over the last year.
And
And-
you also,
and
Are
every
you
one of these-
referring to the selected site at the Dunbar Township Business Park? Is that what you're referring to?
yeah, the swamp.
No, I did
land.
not know until it was brought publicly, but yes, he did have a letter that he provided to us at that time of the meeting, and was dated December of 2000, it was dated last December, and it said pursuant to our discussions, and it was from Michael Jordan of Fayette County, pursuant to our discussions, here is our offer. So no, I did not know in December, January, or February, until the end of February.
And did this board not pass a resolution saying that they were gonna advertise
Yes.
publicly for
Yes,
suggestions from the public for
Bids.
sites for the prison?
yes.
And it has never appeared in the paper. It's never been advertised, am
And
I
we-
correct?
Correct, and we also, a resolution was passed to award an RFQ at a 7%. That resolution was passed, and then 2 or 3 days later in the newspaper, Commissioner Ambrosini said that no, it's not 7%, and it would need to be negotiated.
Right.
That was
No,
his
I didn't.
statement.
I did
That
not
was
say
his-
that.
well, then the newspaper, well, either you didn't say it or the newspaper made it up. I don't know which it was. I don't believe the newspaper made it up.
And you
Well,
Yeah,
passed,
that's a standard.
passed the resolution here.
And there's not been, and as far as having the contracts for Crabtree or Slater to come in, I've asked for those. It's not been up at the commissioners' conference room to sign off. If there was a
They
contract, if there was
absolutely
a,
were.
if there was a
Absolutely
if there
were,
was a
Commissioner, and
contract
that
up
is
there,
incorrect.
if
That
there
in
was
the
a
box for you to
contract,
sign
if there
off
was a
on, and you
contract.
refused to.
If there was a contract up there that said what the stated negotiated price was, don't you think I would have said something here at this meeting? And that is not accurate.
Angela, how did you get the number 1.26 million?
Off of your New World system.
And on those documents
No, I'm not.
attached to it are copies of the contract. Where do you think I got them at?
I've asked for those contracts
They've been
never
in the
came
system.
before, those contracts never came here to a commissioner's vote.
This
Never
contract
came
was
here.
signed 2/4 of 2014.
Pull the resolutions and show me a contract that we entered into a contract in the stated amount.
If
Give me
you
the
were able
resolutions.
to access
Give me the
1.26 million,
resolutions.
an attachment to
Give me
that
the
document.
resolutions.
Will you listen to
No,
me?
no, I will not. No,
Well,
I
then
will
that's
not
fine.
listen to that.
And Mrs. Mazza, am
Where
I
is
allowed
there-
to answer
where
the
is there a
question?
resolution that says that the
Oh, you
commissioners
got
entered
one
into the
question
contract?
this meeting.
There is no resolution to that
Hey,
effect. There is none.
Angela, if you
There was
access
a
New World,
resolution
these
passed-
contracts were attached.
There was a resolution passed at a commissioners meeting that we picked a site, fine, we will hold work sessions. The commissioners will hold work sessions to decide what will go into the prison. Do either one of you recall that?
Yes, I recall it.
And the resolution passed 3-0. Unanimous. Soon as the meeting was over, I heard Mr. Ambrosini say to Mrs. Zimmerlink, we're not gonna do that.
Right.
Nothing to do what?
Hold the meetings.
Just as the RFQs
And
were
you
issued
never
and the
had
contracts never
meetings.
came back to these commissioners to vote, okay? Never occurred. Find me a resolution that approved that. It did not. The same way with issuing the contract for Crabtree Slater for $24,000, $30,000 was paid. If anyone read what I wrote, it's accurate. It said, the resolution said $24,000. The statements made in the minutes stated that it was firm, and somehow it was paid for more than $30,000 for $30,000. It was never approved, and neither were any of these things that Controller Lawley states is attached to any documents. They were never back here at this commissioners meeting to vote on.
Angela, did my chief deputy come over to get you onto the system and show you how to use that? Is that true or is that false?
When?
A month ago.
One time, and I've called, and she gave, you know what she did? She gave me Brian's name, and I've called him 3 times, and he's been very helpful from New World.
And that's right. And when you opened up the
I'm
requisitions,
talking about whether or not these contracts were ever voted on here. Were these contracts ever voted on? No. No, they were not. They were not. All the resolutions, they were not voted on. They said, RFQs were awarded.
Zapatowski
And?
Ambrosini.
And no Zimmerlin.
Wait,
They
stop,
were put in the
stop,
box.
stop.
I don't have any more I can tell you than that.
Those full resolution that says that those contracts were voted on. None, there are none. There are none. It says an RFQ was issued, and it said that the fees would be negotiated. Where did anyone come back after, and we say, okay, well, you negotiated with the amount. There is no resolution. If there is, provide me with a resolution. We know that there is none.
The resolution clearly states that the architectural, Crabtree Road Ball will provide the architectural design work for 7%. That was clearly stated. And it's in the resolution. And I'll ask
There are resolutions that
I'll ask
no
Solicitor
contracts
Cup
done.
at this point to go back and look at all the resolutions of the, concerning the jail, the prison project, and to make sure they're appropriate for going forward and continuing to design and issue RFPs to the contractors for actual construction.
They passed a resolution with the fee at 7% of the total cost of the new jail. A few days later, newspaper reported Ambrosini saying that was just an estimate and the fee would be negotiated.
Here's a resolution dated October 15th, 2013, where an RFQ was issued for the renovation alteration to an existing building for a temporary women's county detention annex. How much? Where's the contract? Where's an RFQ is issued? RFQ means that we go back and we negotiate a price. When and where between October 15th of 2013 and today did a contract come back that says that under the terms of the contract that this RFQ was issued? For how much? Never came back. There is no resolution that approved that. And that was my point in my, also there were resolutions that were passed, another resolution here, July 16th of 2013, to select Slater Engineering in Crabtree to perform a needs study for $24,000. If you pull and that was passed by a 2-to-1 vote. If you pull the minutes clearly say that is a firm price, yet $30,000 was paid. Where is the document in the resolution that came to this board to increase that money, to increase that contract? There is none.
Lala, you write the checks.
You may have contracts that were signed and put up on a New World website. Nothing was brought back to this commissioner's meeting, and voted on to execute the terms of that contract.
In the article that Commissioner Zimmerlink authored, she basically said that the controller was authoring checks without contracts or signatures.
That were voted on.
These are the
That were voted
contracts.
on.
They
That
have
were
two
voted on.
commissioner signatures. That is the majority of the commissioners.
That were voted on.
They are dated in February of 2014. The first disbursement was on 3/7 of 2014.
That were voted on is what I said.
No, you did not say voted on in the paper. Your statement's pejorative at best. And the facts of the matter is, I as controller have signed documents in front of me. They are executable. I made the payment about a month after the contract came to me. Pure and simple. I did my job. I didn't
She
make any
does say, and
payments.
no contract has been voted on in the paper. She does say that.
Okay, yeah.
A contract was also to be signed. Well, it's been 6 months and no contract has been voted on, yet the two commissioners approved payments and the controller issued checks.
I said voted on, didn't I?
Correct. It's right in there, unless they misquoted it.
No.
Yeah, it's a contract was to be signed. Well, it has not been voted on. She said that.
Let's try to
Okay,
keep
we
one
done?
speaker.
Yeah.
One last thing that I saw in today's paper that I thought it was regarding the case that was held yesterday, and the attorney representing the county, Marie Jones' statement today was pretty good. It said that a commissioner is a part of a three-person governing body whose members are not empowered to act alone. So one commissioner cannot be considered a policymaker. So I just thought that was kind of applicable to what's been going on here, this money being paid.
And which commissioner was she talking about?
She was, I believe, referring to Commissioner Zimmerling, but the general statement that a commissioner is part of a three-person governing body is true here. This is a
That
government.
includes you too.
It's a
Al.
three-commissioner team. Up there, you were elected, three commissioners were elected to represent us, and one can't act alone.
And so I'm gonna ask you, Mary Beth, why was that lawsuit?
Because you told her to file it, that's why. Enough said.
Who told her to file?
Enough said. I'm not going into this,
Okay,
Mary
I
Beth,
didn't
and you
know
know
it.
the reasons why.
Yeah, but I
okay?
don't know what it is.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
know
gonna
what-
allow Commissioner
Yeah, I mean-
Everseen to do what the other two commissioners did to me years ago
Oh,
on
okay.
lawsuits. I'm not gonna get
No, I
baited
just
into
think
that by anybody.
I think all three are supposed to act together.
That's
So,
absolutely
yeah,
right.
you two paid money without her knowledge or in contract, which seems illegal, so. That's-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tom Thompson, Fayette County. Question was brought up, what about a limited tour of the prison of ordinary citizens? Not elected officials, not government employees, ordinary people on the street. So a limited number, not a lot, security in mind, to get their opinions, and maybe in writing at the end if they want to, pro and con, and to see where that goes. There's nobody that I know of has ever been in the prison
I'd love
personally
to
I
go.
can talk to.
I'd love to go.
I'd love to go. Let's just see what it is.
I would be more than happy to have you take a tour of not a limited tour,
Correct.
to see everything.
Right.
Well, when,
I would be, in fact, thank you for asking that question, because there's been people actually on the referendum committee that I personally asked, I'd given them a personal tour and they refused.
Who on the referendum committee refused?
Cousin Evelyn.
what did you,
Yeah, and you know, just for the interest of full disclosure,
Did you offer anybody else on the referendum?
everybody, I offer everybody, but I particularly, I asked Evelyn Havanic, I actually wanted to give her a personal tour, and she says, no, I don't wanna go in that place, I just don't want a new prison. That was her,
That's, no, come on now. Come on now.
First off,
Evelyn
That's
never
exactly-
said that.
that's-
No,
You never said that.
no.
She absolutely did.
well,
No.
when,
Did you read the referendum?
Yes, I did.
What does it say?
It says, I'll have to paraphrase, because the first statement says that you demand that we rescind all resolutions having to do with the prison.
Why?
You know,
If you read the whole thing, it tells you that what we want, what the whole referendum about is not, it's not against or for a new prison. What it's about is allowing the people of this county to have a say.
what's that mean, Ralph? Explain that to me, because I'm not sure I understand.
Well, you have them phony public forums where you didn't answer any questions that you didn't want to answer.
Now, what part do you want to play?
I went to them phony
You want to
forums.
select the wall
All it
colors
was
or
a
what?
sales pitch.
Mr.
All it
Mazza,
was
let
was
him
a sales
finish.
pitch.
Let him finish,
And
Ralph. Let him
I'm
finish.
sorry, I'm sorry, I'm
Let him
sorry.
finish.
Shouldn't have bought it.
What would be the criteria for setting up something like that? A public notice?
Man can't tell the truth.
Well, I don't know, when the Herald-Standard wanted a tour, they contacted Tim Mahoney.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, just
And obviously, you do not need to contact Tim Mahoney, the state representative for a county jail. I'm just making reference to that.
Prison board, county commissioners?
I've left messages for Miller, Warden Miller.
Call Warden Miller.
He doesn't
Why
ever
don't we set
return.
something official, because I'm just an ordinary citizen taxpayer, he's gonna throw me right off. You know,
You're
what group do I
part of that
represent?
prison.
Are you just me, or a half dozen people?
I would love to know.
We give kids tours. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be.
A kid walks up to the door and walks in and says, I want to.
No, we do school groups.
Okay, then he's a
Okay.
big group then.
Well,
She
after-
doesn't, I'll give you a personal
I
tour.
don't want
through
one,
it.
I want
Okay.
one with other people.
Yeah,
I listen pro and con.
I've
Who are in
asked you
favor
in
and who are
November or
against it.
December,
That's
sir,
fine.
for a tour, and you said, okay, but nothing's
Yeah, and
happened.
then whenever you come back after you see the tour, also remember that I've made motions to, and suggestions for options to repair that
Right.
jail, renovate that jail, and other options, and never got a second.
Where are they?
Remember that.
And the options.
But
in this
yet I have
article.
to hear that a bucket's been sitting there for 15 years. I mean, come on. Come on.
And the
How do we
roofs.
go about doing this?
Call Warden Miller. He'll give you all the information you need and set up a time, and he'll give you a tour or a group, a tour of whoever you
And
choose.
what's the criteria
Now, there may
for
be
going
some
through it?
limits to the size of
Oh,
the
yeah,
tour.
don't want a large one, don't want 200 people,
Okay.
you know, 3, 4, 5, half a dozen. What's the criteria for the citizens? Just any taxpayer, voting on registration, what's the criteria for that? Anybody who wants to go with
Anybody
it?
wants a tour? Yeah, there's no limits.
Okay. All right, we'll get hold of it and we'll set something, we'll have your name.
I've left
Anybody
Miller
else here
too,
wanna
I've
go?
probably twice never got a call back about a
Okay, can
tour.
you guys
Mary
discuss
does.
that at a later time?
Okay.
We wouldn't want anyone to say that the commissioners' meeting is going on because you have citizens
Yeah.
exchanging information. Do that after the meeting, please.
Okay.
Harry, I see you sitting over there. Okay. All right, we'll work on that. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. So, yeah,
That's okay.
anybody else that has any public comment? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all those in favor? Aye, motion carries.
Okay, wait,
No,
wait, wait.
I'm coming. I called Warden Miller.
Oh, did I? So we-
I'll go to